Chapter 39. Okay, come over here and fill out this form. The young officer led Huamin to the side to fill out the form. Qin Chu remained silent, and no one knew what he was thinking. How is it? Isn't it crazy? I didn't think that one of the customers I arrested would be Huamin's current boyfriend. They already broke up, Qin Chu said calmly. Huh, you even know that? You're way too well informed, aren't you? Gao Ran laughed. Qin Chu didn't say anything else, but his gaze never left Huamin's figure. After Huamin paid the 2,000 yuan bail, she let out a sigh. She finally had 2,000 yuan left in her working capital, but it was going to go down the drain again. Luckily, her salary was due in a few days, or else she wouldn't be able to make a living. After she paid the bail, Ning Ziyuan was still unconscious and had fallen asleep. There were still lipstick stains on his clothes. She could understand that Ning Ziyuan and he man were together because he was angry or unwilling to give up. However, she really didn't think that Ning Ziyuan would go to the brothel. After all, he usually looked like such a gentleman. You can take him away now. Go home and teach him a lesson. What's the point of fooling around with such a beautiful girlfriend? He really doesn't know how lucky he is, the young officer nagged. Huamin nodded awkwardly, then struggled to drag Ning Ziyuan out. When he saw Huamin carrying the drunk Ning Ziyuan out, Qin Chu immediately lost his cool. Let me do it. After he spoke, Qin Chu didn't wait for Huamin to speak, and he dragged Ning Ziyuan over and carried him himself. Why are you here? Huamin was extremely shocked when he saw Qin Chu. Don't tell me you're also a prostitute, caught? Huamin's face gradually turned pale. Are you kidding me? Qin Chu's face darkened as he looked at Huamin. At this time, Gao Ran immediately came over to smooth things over. I was the one who called Chu. The purpose was to let him see what kind of person his ex-girlfriend's current boyfriend is. When Huamin saw Gao Ran and saw his police uniform, he immediately reacted. Then, he laughed mockingly, then you must be bored to death. Hey, what are you talking about? Gao Ran looked aggrieved. Before he could finish, Huamin turned around and walked out angrily. Qin Chu dragged Ning Ziyuan out as well. These two are so weird. I wonder if what I did was a good thing. Gao Ran muttered to himself as he rubbed his chin. After they walked out, Huamin turned around. Okay, leave him to me. What are you going to do? Take him back to your house. What else can I do? Where else can I take him? Huamin asked back. No, I don't agree, Qin Chu said with a dark expression. Huamin was confused. Qin Chu, what right do you have to disagree? I have nothing to do with you. Plus, I'm the one who bailed out Ning Ziyuan. He's my friend. That's enough, I'll make arrangements for him. After he spoke, Qin Chu didn't care anymore as he dragged Ning Ziyuan into his Audi R8. Hey, where are you taking him? Huamin asked anxiously. To feed the sharks, to fill the sea. After he spoke, Qin Chu drove the Audi R8 away at lightning speed. Chapter 40. Huamin was left standing alone at the entrance of the Municipal Public Security Bureau. Her mind was in a mess. She was supposed to be bailed out, but what was happening now? Huamin was wondering if she should just take the bus to the first hospital since it was too expensive to take a taxi home. The Audi R8 magically returned in less than 5 minutes. Get in. So fast. Where is he? In the hotel up front, Qin Chu replied. Huamin was speechless. Qin Chu's efficiency was really, hurry up and get in. Huamin didn't dawdle. She opened the door and got into the front passenger seat. After a long silence, she slowly asked, Did you arrange what happened today? Chin-Chu's hand that was holding the steering wheel paused slightly. He turned his head and looked at her. You suspect that I framed him? Hua-min was silent. Do you think I would do something so senseless? Chin-Chu asked again. Hua-min was still silent, but it was true. With Chin-Chu's personality, he definitely wouldn't do something that would cause him to lose fans. However, if it was Gao Ran, it would be hard to say. After all, 7 years ago, Hua-min already felt that he was a restless guy. You might not, but your good buddy might. Chin-Chu pursed his lips. Do you think the captain of the Municipal Public Security Bureau would frame a normal citizen over something so trivial and arrest him for a whoremonger? He's the captain of the criminal police force now. Hua-min was a little surprised. She didn't expect Gao Ran to be so powerful. When she thought about it this way, it didn't make sense. No captain of the criminal police force would do something like this. Moreover, there were so many police officers every time he was on duty. If he wronged someone for no reason, people would talk about it. Most importantly, when Hua-min was filling out the form, she remembered something the young police officer reminded her of. He said, "Beauty, your boyfriend is a habitual offender. It's not his first time doing this. You have to educate him when you go back." When Hua-min heard this, she was shocked. She never thought that Ning Ziyuan, who looked so gentle on the surface, was actually a repeat offender. Even if they were just putting on a show, there was no need for them to do this, right? Moreover, weren't all doctors obsessed with cleanliness? How could he bear to sleep with a delinquent girl? The more Hua-min thought about it, the more depressed he became. He simply stopped talking and turned his head to look at the night view outside. She had never thought that one day, she would be able to sit in Chin-Chu's car and drive through the night with him alone, just like 7 years ago. In fact, it took less than 20 minutes for the Audi R8 to reach her house. But she felt like it had been a few hours. In fact, she did not dare to face Chin-Chu. Although she hated him, she knew that there was a feeling called hatred born from love. Only when there was love would there be hatred. Otherwise, when they met again, they would be strangers. Why would her heart beat so fast? Mian, he suddenly called her name softly. Hua-min turned her head, her eyes a little dazed. Perhaps it was the night view that completely messed up her heart. How have you been these 7 years? Chin-Chu had always wanted to ask. How had she been without him by her side for the past 7 years? Chapter 41. Did she have a good life these past 7 years? Yeah, she wanted to ask herself if she had a good life. She hid her talents and lived like an ordinary person. Maybe that was considered good, right? Not bad, Hua-min slowly replied after a moment of silence. They arrived at Hua-min's apartment. As soon as the car stopped, Hua-min immediately opened the door and got out of the car as if she was avoiding a ghost. Thank you for driving me home. Goodbye. Hua-min hurriedly said goodbye and hurried upstairs. She was really afraid that Chin-Chu would say more to her. She was really afraid that the memories that had been dormant for 7 years would awaken again. Looking at Hua-min's back, Chin-Chu's eyes had a hint of warmth. Even though she still rejected him, seeing her like this and seeing her home was already a very happy thing. Seeing the lights turn on upstairs, Chin-Chu took out a pack of cigarettes and leaned against the car to light one up. He had survived 7 years without her, so the difficulties he was facing now were nothing to him. She was his. This was something that he had already decided in his life, regardless of whether she agreed or not. After Hua-min went upstairs, she took a shower and was about to go to bed when she unexpectedly walked over to the window and quietly pulled down the corner of the curtains. Sure enough, the car was still parked there. Chin-Chu leaned against the car and didn't move. Seeing that there seemed to be someone standing by the curtains, Chin Chu raised his head in surprise and looked over. Huamin immediately pulled the curtains shut, and then her heart began to pound wildly. She was as nervous as if her unspeakable secret had been discovered. Why was she like this? It had been a long time, hadn't it? Why was she still so nervous when she saw him and made eye contact with him? Lying in bed, Huamin tossed and turned, unable to fall asleep. She had already become indifferent to Ning Ziyuan. If they didn't end up together, then it meant that their fate had come to an end. She had tried to persuade him to stay. She didn't owe him anything. But if Chin Chu kept appearing in her life, then where should she go from here on out? She thought for a moment, then posted a message on WeChat. Everyone will meet someone in their life who they can't be with. We will always be annoyed by the irresistible love that can even be compared to life. In the end, we will go through a painful separation and think that this is the biggest regret in life. After time passes, when you look back at those ridiculous years, you will realize that you have to thank yourself for the choice you made back then. Because I began to understand that those people who couldn't be with me were actually the wrong people. Huamian got up and went to the bathroom not long after she posted it on WeChat. When she came back, there were a few comments. There were a few people to be liked Huamian. The young nurse, Huang Yu, wrote, "Senior sister, don't be sad. Life is still long." Huamian mean. The reason why she addressed Huang Yu as senior sister and junior sister was because Huang Yu also graduated from the city's hospital's advanced blood care program. Her best friend, Zhu Lingling, wrote below, "Girl, it's rare that you don't have to work the night shift. Go to bed early and don't let your imagination run wild. When you wake up tomorrow, it'll be a new day." Huamin replied, "Girl, sometimes I really want to find a place where no one knows me and start over." Zhu Lingling replied again, "How can I do that? Don't abandon me. You are my best friend." Huamin only replied with a smiley face after reading the reply and didn't say anything else. Wei Dong commented below, "Only by leaving the wrong person can you meet the right person. You can't give up the whole forest for a crooked tree." Huamin replied with a polite smiley face. The truth was, sometimes she really felt tired and wanted to start over somewhere else. However, that was impossible because she still had her mother and brother to take care of. Before her brother started working, she couldn't just leave them alone. The next day, Huamin slept in because it was her day off. When she heard the doorbell, she got up and opened the door. When she saw Ning Ziyuan, Huamin wasn't awake yet. She said groggily, "You're here to get your stuff, right? I've already packed it for you." "Mian, I'm here to see you," Ning Ziyuan looked at Huamin and said in all seriousness. Chapter 42. "Oh, come in and wait for me. I'm going to brush my teeth and wash up." Huamin opened the door and let Ning Ziyuan in. After he walked in, he slowly looked around the small house with mixed feelings. He remembered how excited he was when he moved in with Huamin. Although they slept in separate rooms, they were able to see each other day and night. It was a blessing. If it wasn't for the class reunion, they might have already had their wedding. Ning Ziyuan hated Huamin's ex-boyfriend. They broke up so many years ago, why was he still bothering them? If he was so rich, why didn't he just find another girlfriend? Why was he bothering Huamin? After Huamin changed, he went into the bathroom to wash up. When he came out, he saw Ning Ziyuan sitting on the sofa reading the newspaper. "Why are you looking for me?" Huamin walked out while drying his hair. "Yesterday, thank you for bailing me out," Ning Ziyuan suddenly said awkwardly. Huamin immediately understood what he was talking about. He only replied faintly, "It's nothing. Mian, I'm not usually like that. I was just in a bad mood yesterday." I thought of our past, so I went to drink. After I got drunk, a woman took me away from the bar. I really don't remember what happened after that. You have to believe me. You don't have to explain this to me. Your current girlfriend is He-Man, Hwa-min reminded. Mion, you know that I still have feelings for you. After all these years, Ziyuan, what are you trying to say? Hwa-min went straight to the point. Mion, I was wrong this time. I had to trouble you to pick me up and take me to the hotel last night. I really feel sorry for you. He-Man and I were just fooling around. It wasn't real. I still love you in my heart. Let's call it even, okay? I won't pursue the matter between you and your ex-boyfriend anymore. I made a mistake this time, and with He-Man's matter, we're even. Can we still be the same as before? Ziyuan, do you think life is a game? Can I start over if I break it? Hwa-min put down the towel and stared into Ning Ziyuan's eyes as she asked seriously. I don't think so. I just think that it's not easy for the two of us to be together. Since we have feelings for each other, why torture each other? Ziyuan, do you know who I hate the most? What? Ning Ziyuan was stunned. It's a liar. I'm not lying, Mion. Yesterday was the first time I did something stupid. I won't do it again. But the police told me that you have a criminal record in the police station. It's not the first time you've committed rape. You're a repeat offender. As soon as Hwa-min finished speaking, Ning Ziyuan's face immediately turned pale. After a long while, he stuttered and said, Don't listen to the nonsense of those stinky policemen. They are all black money. They only want money after they catch people and frame me. Ziyuan, that's not the point. The point is that we can't go back. Why? Do you still want to be with your ex-boyfriend? Just because he's richer than me? Ning Ziyuan was a little angry. Don't drag him into this. It has nothing to do with him. I don't believe you. You must still love him and can't forget him, right? Ning Ziyuan asked aggressively. Ziyuan, I already explained. You know that I never lie. The truth is what it is. Then there's no chance of us getting back together. Ning Ziyuan asked bitterly. Hwa-min was silent. Okay, I got it. After speaking, Ning Ziyuan took out a wad of cash from his bag and placed it on the coffee table. I heard that you paid 2,000 yuan for my bail yesterday, and another 1,000 for my hotel room. That's a total of 3,000 yuan. Here, I don't want to owe you anything. We're even now. Hwa-min, I'm warning you, don't regret what you did today. When that rich kid doesn't want you anymore and has had enough of you, don't come begging me to take you in. I gave you a chance, but you didn't cherish it. Hwa-min was speechless upon hearing this. After Ning Ziyuan finished speaking, he turned around and opened the door to leave. Hey, you still haven't taken your stuff. I don't want it, throw it away, Ning Ziyuan said angrily as he slammed the door and left. This time, everything between them was completely over, right? Hwa-min thought. Just then, his phone rang. Hwa-min turned around to pick it up. Chapter 43. Shishin. When Hwa-min picked up the phone, his voice was filled with love. Sis, are you off today? Yes. Then let's go visit Dad's grave at noon. Okay. Even if Shishin didn't call, Hwa-min was going to go anyway. It had been 7 years since Uncle Jing passed away. 7 years ago today, Uncle Jing got into a car accident. I went with Mom this morning and she wasn't in a good mood. I'll go with you again at noon. Don't you have classes today? No, I'll go to the library to study in the afternoon. Okay, wait for me. I'll see you at the entrance of the cemetery. Okay. After hanging up the phone, Hua-min's heart sank. She still remembered that night 7 years ago, when she was on her way back from cram school. A black Buick business van drove straight at her, and she didn't have time to dodge. At that moment, Uncle Jing, who came to pick her up from school, suddenly rushed out and pushed her away. In the end, she could only watch as Uncle Jing died under the wheels of the car, and his blood flowed like a river. She was only slightly injured, but Uncle Jing had lost his life. If it weren't for her, Uncle Jing wouldn't have died. Originally, she thought it was just a traffic accident. However, when she found out that the driver who caused the accident was the Qin family's driver, she was dumbfounded. The Qin family was so bold that they didn't even hesitate to hire a hitman to kill someone. Did they need their own driver to do the job? These rich families didn't care about ordinary people at all. Her mother and brother were heartbroken. She went to court time and time again to sue the driver. At that time, the Qin family had already sent Qin Chu abroad. She, on the other hand, had to bear the pressure that normal people couldn't bear. In the end, they insisted on not paying compensation. The driver who caused the accident took the blame and went to jail. However, he was only sentenced to 5 years of drunk driving. At that time, she deeply felt the unfairness of the world, the difference between the rich and the poor. She also knew that with her background, she would never be able to fit in with a rich family like the Qin family. It was also at that time that she completely gave up on the idea of being together with Qin Chu. Putting away these heavy memories, Hua-min washed his face and changed into a pair of black pants and a black short-sleeved shirt. Then, he put on a pair of black sunglasses and went out. When he passed by a flower shop, he bought a bunch of white chrysanthemums. Because the cemetery was in the suburbs, they had to transfer 3 times. When they arrived at the cemetery, it was almost noon. "Sis." Jing Jixin waved at Hua-min from afar. "You've been waiting for a long time, haven't you?" Hua-min lovingly patted Jing Jixin's head. "Not too long, only about 10 minutes. Sis, you seem to have lost weight recently. Is it because there are too many night shifts?" In the face of his brother's concern, Hua-min only smiled faintly. "No, I've been on a diet recently." The siblings then entered the cemetery together and placed the flowers in front of Uncle Jing's tombstone. There was also a basket of fruits and flowers that their mother had sent over in the morning. "Jixin, all these years, have you ever blamed and resented me like Mom did?" Hua-min took off his sunglasses, his expression sorrowful. Jing Jixin looked at his sister beside him and had a big reaction. "Sis, what are you talking about? How could I? I can't blame you for what happened back then. The Qin family are all bad people. If Dad didn't die, you would have died. You guys are the closest to me. But if I didn't ignore the warning and date Qin Chu, that tragedy wouldn't have happened." Hua-min bit her lip, her heart filled with guilt. After hearing what Jing Jixin said, Hua-min was extremely surprised. She couldn't believe that her 19-year-old brother would say something like that. Chapter 44. Jing Jixin said, "Sis, there's nothing wrong with love. You're not the one at fault. The Qin family is too despicable. Back then, they used despicable means to break you guys up. You must have felt terrible too, right? You're also deeply in love with Qin Chu, aren't you?" Jixin. Hua-min suddenly didn't know what to say. "Sis, don't think that I'm a child who doesn't know anything. Also, I know that you and Brother Yuan broke up. When I called him that day, I could tell that something was wrong with the two of you. Although he didn't say it explicitly, I knew that something was wrong. Also, before Mom was hospitalized that day, Brother Yuan came to our house. When I linked these two things together, I thought that you might not like Brother Yuan at all. You still love Brother Yuan and can't let go of him, so I won't blame or resent you. Dad is dead and can't be brought back to life. I only hope that you won't leave yourself with any regrets in the future. Love is something that can't be forced. I read in a magazine that love is like drinking water. Brother Yuan might be a good person, but he's not the one you love, so I don't want you to find a man you don't love for the rest of your life. If you still like Brother Chin Chu, then be with him. Even if Mom doesn't approve and hates you and scolds you, I won't do that. I'll understand. Every debt has its debtor. You can't blame Brother Chin Chu for what the Chin family did. I still stand by what I said, as long as you're happy, it's fine. When Jing Jixin finished speaking, Huamin's face was already covered in tears. She wasn't someone who cried easily. She didn't shed a single tear when she broke up with Ning Ziyuan. However, her brother's words today deeply shocked her. Her brother was only 19 years old. It was rare for him to stand in her shoes and think for her. There was a popular saying that went, "A lot of people only care about how high you fly. Only those who truly care about whether you're tired or not." Her brother was this kind of little warm guy. He always encouraged Huamin when she was feeling down. All these years, other than helping her brother financially, Huamin felt that she was not a qualified sister. At the very least, she had never cared about her younger brother like this, paying attention to her younger brother's true thoughts. "Sis, don't cry. You're already so old. Hurry up and wipe your tears. It's so ugly." Jing Jixin handed her a pack of tissues. Huamin wiped away his tears and sobbed. "Jixin, I didn't know you knew everything. Thank you for understanding me." "What nonsense are you talking about? We're siblings. You and Mom are the people I love the most in the world." Jing Jixin smiled, revealing his two canine teeth. Huamin's eyes glistened with tears. She thought to herself, "Uncle Jing, please bless me and Jixin. Please bless us so that we'll be safe and sound in the future. We can't afford to lose anything." When they walked out of the cemetery, it was already 1 in the afternoon. "Are you going back to the library to study? There's still time." "Sis, I'm so hungry. Let's eat something together." Huamin nodded, then, the two of them took the bus back to the city. They found a small restaurant near Jing Jixin's university and ordered 2 dishes and a bowl of soup. Although it was simple, they ate with relish. Jing Jixin was only in his 2nd semester of university. His university wasn't the best, but it wasn't bad either. He majored in civil engineering and was said to be an engineer in the future. "Sis, when I graduate and find a job, I can support the family with you. Then, you and Mom won't have to work so hard anymore." "Okay." Huamin smiled and nodded. After dinner, Huamin bought some fruits for her brother and walked him all the way to the school gate. "Sis, hurry up and go back. Call me if you need anything." Jing Jixin waved goodbye to Huamin. When Huamin returned to her rented apartment, she spent the entire afternoon cleaning. As a medical worker, she was seriously obsessed with cleanliness. By the time she finished, it was almost 6 in the evening. Exhausted, she curled up on the sofa and watched TV to pass the time. Just then, her phone rang. She looked at the caller ID and saw that it was an unknown number. "Are you Jing Jixin's sister?" A boy on the other side of the phone asked anxiously. "I am. Sis, I'm Jing Jixin's roommate. Jing Jixin just got into a car accident on campus. He's being sent to the first hospital in the city right now. Hurry up and go." After hearing this, Huamin felt her vision go dark, and she almost fainted. Chapter 45. Huamin didn't even remember how she walked out of the house until she arrived at the hospital's emergency room. The doors to the operating room were closed, and many people were waiting outside. She saw her mother lying limp on a chair in the hallway, crying her heart out, "Mom, how's Jishin? My poor Jishin, you have to be safe, or else how am I going to live?" Yang Meirong closed her eyes and cried as if she couldn't see Huamin. Two nurses were about to come over and scold her for being quiet, but when they saw Huamin, they were surprised. "Huamin, are you a family member of the patient as well?" Huamin nodded with a pale face. "Slightly. How's my brother? What's his situation?" "I don't know yet, but he was pretty scary when he was brought in. His heart rate was irregular, and his blood pressure was terrifyingly high. The doctor is trying to save him right now, just wait." "Okay, I got it." Huamin felt weak all over, as if she was about to collapse. They were still eating lunch together, talking and laughing. How did this happen in the afternoon? If something really happened to Jishin, she couldn't imagine how she and her mother would live on. 7 years ago, Uncle Jing's death had already cast a layer of frost over the family. If something happened to her brother, she was afraid that she wouldn't be able to live on. Just then, she saw the other family members crying. Only then did she remember to ask what was going on. Then, a middle-aged man in his 40s walked over, wearing gold-rimmed glasses. Huamin recognized him. He was Jing Jishin's university teacher. "Mr. Sun, what happened?" "It's like this, apparently Jing Jishin got into a car accident on his way back to his dorm from the library. This time, Jing Jishin wasn't the only one who got into an accident. 3 other children were also seriously injured." "It was a chain accident," the teacher replied with a heavy tone. Huamin was slightly shocked. How is that possible? Isn't there a speed limit on campus? How could such a serious accident happen if the speed was so slow? "I wasn't there at the time. I'll have to wait for the surveillance footage to come out." However, according to the students who witnessed it, a Porsche sports car was speeding and destroyed a lot of public goods in the school. It also injured 4 students and finally hit a big tree. Porsche sports car. Huamin frowned. She couldn't imagine what kind of person would drive a sports car in a crowded university campus. He even destroyed a lot of public property. Where's the perpetrator? Where is it? Huamin was fuming. They have already escaped. The girl in the passenger seat is also said to be seriously injured and is in the hospital for emergency treatment. However, the school has already called the police. The traffic police and the police are already involved in this matter. You don't have to worry. How can I not be worried? I still don't know what's going on with my brother. Huamin's tears fell as he spoke. 3 hours later, the door to the operating theater opened. Huamin and his mother rushed forward to stop the doctor. "Dr. Liu, how's my brother? His condition isn't very good. We've already tried our best to resuscitate him, but there's still a blood clot in his brain. Moreover, the location of the clot is very sensitive. We don't have enough time to perform a second surgery. In a moment, the neurosurgery department will come up with a plan and discuss with your family about how to treat him." After hearing this, Huamin and his mother's legs turned to jelly. If the situation wasn't good, it meant that his life wasn't out of danger. She knew the theory behind intracranial hemorrhage. The surgery she did with Qin Chu was similar to this one. It was an extremely difficult surgery. Even the slightest mistake would leave behind sequelae. In the best-case scenario, it would result in a decrease in intelligence and uncoordinated limbs. In the worst-case scenario, it would result in paralysis or a vegetative state. Oh my God, my poor son. What have I done to deserve this? Yang Meirong knelt on the ground and wailed. At this moment, Huamin felt like the sky was falling down. Chapter 46. Patient's family, quiet down. We can't make noise here. The medical staff immediately stopped them. Mom, calm down. Shut up. It's all your fault, you jinx. You killed Jishin's father, and now you're here to kill Jishin. I really regret having a jinx like you as my daughter. It's all my fault. Yang Meirong cried as she hit Huamin. Huamin was also very sad, but he couldn't say anything. Just then, Yang Meirong suddenly grabbed Huamin's collar and yelled, "Did the Qin family do it? Ha! Did you seduce their son again? Is that why they're trying to hurt us again? Ha! Tell me, tell me." Mom, calm down. This was an accident. The teacher said it was a chain accident, not a premeditated accident, Huamin explained. I don't believe it, I don't believe it. It must be you, it must be that family. It must be them, I'm going to kill them. After speaking, Yang Meirong was about to run out. Mom. Huamin held onto his mother's hand with a sobbing tone. Finally, his mother's body fell forward and she fell flat on the ground. Mom, wake up. Huamin felt like his brain was about to explode. His brother was still in critical condition, and his mother had fainted. Huamin suffered 2 blows in one day and was on the verge of collapse. After helping his mother settle down, Huamin pulled himself together and walked towards the top floor of the hospital. Outside the director's office, I want to see the director, Huamin said to the male assistant at the door. Do you have an appointment? No. The assistant had met Huamin before, so he was familiar with him. He nodded and said, wait a moment, I'll go inform him. Soon, the assistant walked out and said, you can go in now. Thank you. When Huamin walked in, he saw the director sitting in his chair, writing something down. President Wu. Oh, you're here. Have a seat. The director was no stranger to this intern nurse. Huamin nodded. His eyes were red as he sat down on the chair opposite the dean. You must be looking for me. Speak. The hospital director thought that perhaps the nurse felt that the bonus he had given her last time was not enough, so she came to ask for something again. Unexpectedly, Huamin almost burst into tears the moment he opened his mouth. Director, I beg you, please save my brother. What happened? Tell me slowly, don't rush. President Wu looked at her and stopped what he was doing. He adjusted his glasses and said in a serious tone. Director, my younger brother was involved in a car accident at school today and was sent to our hospital for emergency treatment. The chief surgeon said that his head was severely damaged and he was still in critical condition after this operation. He also suggested a second operation in the near future. However, because the location of the damage in his brain is relatively sensitive, the risk of the second operation is very high. He is only 19 years old today. I only have one younger brother and I don't want to lose him. Please help me. I see. Don't worry, I'll make a call and ask. Then, President Wu dialed the internal line of the Department of Neurosurgery and talked to the doctor there. A few minutes later, President Wu hung up the phone and said in a serious tone, Huamin, your brother's situation is really complicated. Dr. Liu from the Department of Neurosurgery told me that he is not confident that he can perform the operation well. Even if the operation is successful, the patient may suffer from sequelae. Then what should we do? What if we don't perform the second operation? Will it be better? Huamin was anxious. President Wu shook his head. Listen to me. The current situation is like this. If we don't perform the second operation, his life will be in danger at any time. Because if the blood clot in the brain is not completely removed, it may cause a brain hemorrhage. This is very important. Then what should we do? Huamin was a little dumbfounded. For the first time, she was at a loss. How about this, you go home and think about it, and discuss it with your family. However, I have to remind you that even if you perform the second operation, the cost will be quite expensive. It will cost at least 300,000 yuan, and it's best if you do it within a week. Otherwise, the longer you delay it, the higher the risk. As for the hospital fees, don't worry. I've already made arrangements, and you don't have to pay for it yet. We'll settle it together in the future. Thank you, Director. I'll go home and think about it. After she finished speaking, Huamin stood up in a daze. 300,000 yuan for the operation was a sky-high price. Where was she going to find that much money? Wait a minute. The director suddenly shouted. Huamin turned around tiredly. Huamin, the special professor who performed the operation on the leader, Dr. Qin, is an old acquaintance of yours, right? President Wu suddenly thought of this key question. Chapter 47. After a moment of hesitation, Huamin nodded. She knew that she couldn't hide this from the director. Yes, we've known each other for a long time, she said evasively. That's easy. If you're a friend, I suggest that you ask Dr. Qin to operate on your brother. You should know that he's a medical doctor from Harvard and is an authoritative expert in neurosurgery. You should have seen how he operated on the leader last time. If he agrees to be the chief surgeon, with the help of our hospital's chief surgeon, your brother's chances of success will be much higher. What do you think? Okay, I'll think about it. Thank you for the reminder. After speaking, Huamin turned around and left the director's office. She felt extremely conflicted. Should she ask Qin Chu for help? This was worse than killing her. She needed to raise money first. After all, 300,000 yuan wasn't a small amount. Inside the hospital room when Huamin walked in, his mother was already awake. She was still in a bad mood. Mom, I have something to discuss with you, Huamin said quietly. Yang Meirong turned her head away. Her face was pale and she didn't respond. I just went to the director's office and asked about Jixin's condition. The director also suggested that Jixin undergo a second surgery, but it's very expensive. It'll cost 300,000 yuan. Even if we have to sell our house and our land, we have to save Jixin. Money is nothing, Yang Meirong said fiercely as she glared at Huamin. Huamian nodded. That's what I think too. I'll do whatever it takes to save Jixin. Mom, you have to take care of yourself. Leave the rest to me. I'll go raise the money first. We can sell the house, we can rent it, Yang Meirong lowered her head and said in a muffled voice. It's too late to sell the house now. The second surgery will happen in a few days. I'll think of something. You rest well. After speaking, Huamin turned around and walked out of the hospital room. She took a deep breath and tried to calm herself down. Then, she took out her phone and opened her contacts. She looked through each and every one of them to see if there was anyone who could help her at this critical moment. At this moment, she thought of someone, Ning Ziyuan. It wasn't because they had to borrow money from Ning Ziyuan. It was just that when they bought the house, Huamin had also taken 60,000 yuan for the surgery. Her salary was not high. She had saved 60,000 yuan while working part-time. It was not easy. Therefore, she wanted to ask Ning Ziyuan if he could return the money to her. Then, she went to Ning Ziyuan's new house. She had only been to this place a few times. Initially, she had planned to move in after she got married. However, after they broke up, there was nothing else. This was a 33-story apartment building. It was located at the edge of the third ring road, and the transportation was quite convenient. Ning Ziyuan lived on the 9th floor. Huamin took the elevator directly to the 9th floor, room 902. Just as he was about to knock on the door, he saw that the door was ajar. She slowly opened the door. Before she walked in, she saw a pair of women's high heels at the door. They were purple and very seductive. Then, a flirtatious voice came from the bedroom. You haven't showered yet. Go, you're so dirty. There's no rush. I'll shower after I'm done. Ning Ziyuan's voice had a hint of playfulness. Huamin thought that she had come at the wrong time. It was better not to say anything. Just as she was about to turn around and leave, she accidentally knocked into a pair of shoes on the shoe rack, making a loud noise. Who is it? Ning Ziyuan immediately walked out of the bedroom to check. When he saw Huamin, he was obviously surprised and then embarrassed. Why are you here? Huamin saw that Ning Ziyuan was only wearing boxers. She immediately turned her head and said, something happened at home and I need some money. So, I wanted to ask if you could return me the money I paid for the down payment. Chapter 48. Money? No, I used it all to buy a house. If you want it, just wait. I'll pay you back when I have enough money. Okay, I got it. Huamin turned to leave. Huamin, what happened to your family? Jixin got into a car accident. Huamin's voice was a bit hoarse. It's useless for you to come to me after something this big happened. You should go to your rich ex-boyfriend, Ning Ziyuan suddenly said. Huamin didn't say anything. Disappointment was written all over his face as he turned to leave. After saying that, Ning Ziyuan regretted his words. Why did he have to be so sarcastic? Ziyuan, whose voice is that? Why aren't you coming in? A woman's sweet voice came from the bedroom. Ning Ziyuan still had money on his card. He used it to buy things for his wedding banquet. He still had 100,000 yuan left. If he took it out now, would Huamin be touched and want to get back together with him? However, if Huamin took the money and still didn't want to get back together with him, then he would lose more than he gained. After walking out of Ning Ziyuan's apartment, Huamin received a call from Zhu Lingling. Girl, I just got off the plane. I saw your message. What happened? Why did you borrow so much money? Zhu Lingling sounded anxious. Jixin got into a car accident. He's in the hospital. I need 300,000 yuan for the surgery. Huamin's voice was hoarse. What? Jixin got into a car accident. Don't worry. Where are you? I'll come to you right now. I'm at the Rainbow Mall in Sanhuan. Okay, see you in a bit. Half an hour later, Zhu Lingling arrived in a taxi. She and Huamin found a KFC and sat down. Lingling, I really don't know what to do. What did the police say? Where's the perpetrator? They're still investigating. Apparently, 4 or 5 students were injured this time. My brother wasn't the only one, so it's very troublesome for the police to deal with it. It'll also take some time to get the compensation, but Jixin's surgery can't wait that long. The sooner the better. I understand. How about this? I have 80,000 yuan in my savings. You can take it first. Then, I'll go back and borrow some from my parents, my cousin, and my friends. I'll get about 130,000 yuan for you. If the rest is not enough, we'll think of other ways. Thank you, Lingling. Huamin grabbed Zhu Lingling's hand, his eyes red. Silly, we're best friends. Why are you thanking me? If I don't help you now, when will I? I'll make more money later. I just want Jixin to be safe. Huamin nodded. Mian, why don't we ask for help from the media? As long as the media announces it, everyone will donate some money and we'll have enough. Huamin hesitated for a moment before replying, I thought about that too, but if we alert the media and the whole city knows about it, Jixin will be under a lot of pressure when he goes back to school after he recovers. I don't want people to look at him with sympathy, do you understand? After all, he's a boy and has a lot of pride. I don't want to do that unless I have no other choice. You're right, I didn't think about it. It's okay, don't worry. We'll think of something. After parting ways with Zhu Lingling, Min went back to his rented apartment and washed his face. Just then, a WeChat notification popped up. Goddess Hua, are you there? It was from her high school classmate, Wei Dong. Yeah, what's up? I heard from Zhu Lingling that your brother got into a car accident and needs money for surgery. Is that right? Yes. I have some, I can lend it to you. Really? Thank you. Min was a little excited. Let's meet up and talk about it. Okay. Min was very enthusiastic about anything related to Jixin. At 6:30 p.m., Min met up with Wei Dong at a nearby Thai restaurant. He drove a black Mercedes-Benz GLK and wore an Armani suit. He had a Louis Vuitton handbag in his hand and a Longines diamond watch on his wrist. He looked like a tycoon. On the other hand, Min only wore a white t-shirt and jeans, looking very normal. Have you been waiting for a while? Wei Dong asked with a smile. Chapter 49. Min shook her head. Nope, I just got here a few minutes ago. Let's order first. What do you want to eat? Anything. I don't have much of an appetite. The waiter ordered a couple's set meal, followed by a fruit salad and dessert. Yes, sir. After ordering the fruit meal, Wei Dong turned around and looked at Min. He seemed to be in a good mood. Min, how's your brother doing? Not too good. He's waiting for the second surgery. Don't worry, he'll get better. Thank you. The two of them exchanged some pleasantries before Wei Dong brought up the matter of money. I didn't bring the money today. It's not convenient for me to have too much cash with me. I can go to the company tomorrow and ask the finance department to transfer the money to you. You can just send your card number to my WeChat. Thank you, Wei Dong. I'll pay you back as soon as possible. Interest is fine too. What are you talking about? We're old classmates. What do you mean by interest? You're looking down on me. That's not what I meant. I'm just grateful that you can help me. You're welcome. Actually, there's something else I want to say. You might think I'm despicable, but I'm speaking from the bottom of my heart. Min, you don't have to pay me back. I only have one condition. Will you be my girlfriend? Min's expression changed slightly. She wasn't too surprised. With her intelligence, there was no way she wouldn't know what Wei Dong was thinking. There was no free lunch in this world, and there was no pie that fell from the sky. Everything had a price. But I heard from Lingling that you have a girlfriend. I don't want to get involved in someone else's relationship, Min replied faintly. Mian, give me a chance. I'll definitely treat you well. I'm not playing around. I can get engaged to you immediately and get married within a month. If I marry you, I'll buy you a car and a house so you can live a good life. I'll even take care of your mother and brother for the rest of my life. Wei Dong reached out to hold Min's hand. However, before he could touch her, Min raised her head and put her hand on her hair. It looked like she was tidying her hair, but she was actually trying to diffuse the awkwardness. Wei Dong, you don't like money diggers. You don't like women following you for money. But how can you be sure that I'm not following you for money? I'm not a fairy, and I'm not otherworldly. I also have a desire for money. The Lollydragon on TV is just a story. It doesn't exist. Don't have too many fantasies and expectations of me. There's always a gap between reality and fantasy. Min had said this to Wei Dong before, but he didn't seem to take it to heart. No, you're not. If you were doing this for money, you wouldn't have dumped Chin Chu. Compared to GK, my family is nothing, Wei Dong swore as he threw out this excuse. Upon hearing Chin Chu's name, Min felt a dull ache in her heart. Chin Chu was a past she couldn't go back to. Min, I really like you. Please give me a chance, Wei Dong begged again, his eyes full of sincerity. Chapter 50. About this, let me think about it, then I'll give you an answer. Okay, I'll wait for you. Wei Dong stared at Min in a daze. After leaving the cafeteria, Min went straight to the hospital. Her brother showed no signs of waking up and was being monitored in the VIP ward. Her mother's mental state was even worse. Her blood pressure was unstable and would rise from time to time. Min sat on the bench outside the VIP ward tiredly with her head lowered. Min. Head nurse, Min said with difficulty when she saw who it was. I've heard about what happened to you. I'm giving you a few days off to take care of your brother. Thank you, head nurse. I know about your family situation. Everyone in the OB/GYN department put together 5,000 yuan of our own accord. Take it, we'll think of something else if it's not enough. No, I can't take it, head nurse. Min was a little flustered. Take it, it's a small token of our appreciation. I hope your brother recovers soon. Min nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. She begged Ning Ziyuan, but it was useless. She begged her classmates, but they made conditions. They said that they were taking advantage of the situation, but they were taking advantage of the situation. Now that her colleagues were doing this for her, she was very touched. In reality, kindness was mutual. Min had worked hard in the OB/GYN department for the past 6 months. She had done all sorts of hard work and often worked overtime for her colleagues. She was very popular. Although the head nurse was strict, she was a very nice person. I'll go back to work then. Cheer up, your brother still needs you. After patting Min's shoulder, the head nurse turned around and left. Just then, she received a WeChat message. Min took out her phone and saw that it was from Zhu Lingling. I heard that you borrowed money from Wei Dong. Yeah. Don't borrow money from him. You know how he feels about you. You're like a lamb in a tiger's den. Are you saying that the sheep Wei Dong entered the mouth of this tigress? Stop fooling around. Are you kidding me? I'm serious. He definitely won't lend it to you for free. Zhu Lingling was annoyed. Yes, he does have a condition. He said that he wants to get engaged to me and get married within a month. What do you think? I want to agree. Are you crazy? You want to marry him? That kind of person. Don't you know what kind of person he is? Zhu Lingling was anxious. Lingling, I'm going to get married anyway. It doesn't matter who I marry. I don't like him anyway, so what does it matter? Zhu Lingling remained silent. After a while, Zhu Lingling replied carefully, Mian, have you thought about asking Chin Chu for help? Maybe he can help you. I'd rather marry Wei Dong than beg Chin Chu. Seeing how determined Min was, Zhu Lingling didn't say anything else. After Wei Dong went home, he was in a great mood. He knew that Min was in desperate need of money, so it was only a matter of time before he agreed. Therefore, he told his class president, Han Su, about this to show off. So, word spread among the classmates, and the news spread like wildfire. Chin Chu was in the middle of a meeting when he suddenly received a friend request on WeChat. It was from his high school classmate, Lu Xiying. Chin Chu originally planned to ignore her, but when Lu Xiying added Chin Chu, she wrote something in the note column that caught Chin Chu's attention. Min is going to marry Wei Dong. Chin Chu's face immediately darkened when he saw this. He slammed his phone on the table. shocking all of GK's executives. Chapter 51. President Qin, are we still going on with the meeting? The vice president asked nervously. Without another word, Qin Chu picked up his phone from the table and left. Assistant Yang quietly waved his hand at the higher-ups, indicating that they could all go back to their own business. The president was in a bad mood, so there was no point in continuing the meeting. After Qin Chu returned to his office, he took off his jacket and tossed it onto the sofa. Assistant Yang was so scared that he didn't dare to make a sound, and the atmosphere in the office became extremely tense. Tell everyone that all subsidiaries of the GK Group are to cancel all collaborations with Desheng Steel Works. Also, tell all our partners that GK will never work with them again if they work with Desheng Steel Works. President Qin, you're talking about Desheng Steel Works, right? Let me confirm. Assistant Yang had been an assistant for a long time, but this was the first time he heard his boss give out such a harsh order. If he remembered correctly, Desheng Steel Works was only a small and medium-sized construction company in the city. Perhaps GK's subsidiary real estate companies had worked with them before. Speaking of which, how did the person in charge of Desheng Steel Works offend his boss? Did he steal a woman or dig up his ancestors' graves? What made his boss so angry? I think you're done as an assistant, Qin Chu said coldly. President Qin, I'll do it right now. Assistant Yang was so scared that he ran out like a puff of smoke, not daring to stay a minute longer. Qin Chu looked at the message Lu Xiying sent him on his phone. His lips twitched, and he said, "You're asking for it." Wei Dong was indeed someone who wouldn't die if he didn't seek death. He knew that Huamin was Qin Chu's beloved woman, but he still threw himself at her. If that wasn't asking for it, then what was? Of course, he thought that Qin Chu and Huamin were already in the past. After all, ever since he came back to China, he hadn't heard any rumors about him and Huamin. Other than Zhu Lingling, no one else knew much about Huamin and Qin Chu. Desheng Steel Works Corporation Wei Dong's father, Wei Changfu, was very anxious. He made many phone calls and dragged many of his friends to help, but none of them could solve the problem. What an unexpected disaster. The company's big clients didn't dare to offend GK, so they cancelled their contracts with them. GK Real Estate, the only subsidiary they had ever worked with, also announced that they would no longer work with them. This was equivalent to cutting off his source of income. Without the support of these large companies, he could only earn a fraction of his monthly income. It wasn't even enough to pay the employees' salaries. What kind of bullshit company was this? Dad, what's wrong? Wei Dong was having dinner with his friends when he received his father's call and immediately returned to the company. Something big has happened. What is it? Why is it so serious? Wei Dong asked out of the blue. Then, Wei Changfu told him everything that had happened. In the end, he cursed, "God damn it, I don't know how we offended GK. How dare they blacklist a small company like us? These days, it's the law of the jungle. We can't afford to offend GK. I called GK's headquarters to talk to the higher-ups, but they didn't even give me a chance. What should we do? Desheng worked so hard to achieve what it is today. Are we really going to let it all go down the drain?" When Wei Dong heard about GK, he suddenly thought of something. "Dad, let me try. I have a classmate at GK. Do you have a way?" Wei Changfu felt a glimmer of hope. "I'll try talking to him first." After speaking, Wei Dong stormed out of the company with a furious expression. Then, he sent a WeChat message to his classmate group. "Does anyone have Qin Chu's phone number? Send it to me." After a while, no one replied. Helpless, he couldn't wait any longer. He drove all the way to GK's headquarters. "I want to see Qin Chu." "Do you have an appointment?" the receptionist asked politely. Chapter 52. No. I'm sorry, sir, but President Qin is very busy. You can't see him without an appointment. Stop pretending, I was his high school classmate. No, sir, please don't make it difficult for me. If you were his high school classmate, you should have his contact information. I suggest you call our president directly. Wei Dong wanted to force his way in, but GK's security system was too strong, he couldn't even get to the first floor. Plus, he could go straight to the top floor of the 56th floor. When Qin Chu drove his low-key Audi R8 home, Wei Dong flagged down his car at the entrance of the parking lot. If Qin Chu didn't brake in time, he would have gone up. Qin Chu stopped the car with an unpleasant expression on his face, and he slowly rolled down the window. Qin Chu, get out of the car, let's talk, Wei Dong said angrily. I don't think I have anything to talk to you about. Qin Chu was still as arrogant as ever. Of all his high school classmates, other than Huamin, he wouldn't even look at anyone else. He definitely wouldn't give Wei Dong face. Why are you doing this to my company? What did I do to offend you? Why are you forcing us to do this? Wei Dong's face was filled with anger. Qin Chu raised his head, his eyes cold. I'm going to buy your company at a low price within a week, leaving you and your father with hundreds of millions in debt. When the time comes, you'll have no choice but to jump off a building. That's the only way out for you. After hearing this, Wei Dong's face turned pale. If someone else said this, he would have laughed out loud and called them bragging. If it was Qin Chu who said this, then he would have cried his heart out. Who was Qin Chu? He was the heir of GK, and his family business was one of the best in the country. He was one of the top 50 business giants in Asia. It would be a piece of cake for him to wipe out a small company like theirs. Qin Chu, why are you doing this? We were classmates, don't tell me, you still like Huamin, and you're afraid that I'll steal him from you. Wei Dong wasn't stupid, and he suddenly realized the key point. You want to fight with me? You really think highly of yourself? Are you worthy? Qin Chu sneered. Wei Dong was speechless. He was indeed unworthy. I'll give you 1 hour to draw a clear line between you and Huamin. Otherwise, you'll die a horrible death. After speaking, Qin Chu rolled up the car window and left the garage. Wei Dong stood rooted to the ground, dumbfounded. He really liked Huamin and really wanted to marry her. However, his dream had been ruined before even a day had passed. It seemed like he would never be able to marry a goddess in this lifetime. Huamin took off his clothes and was about to wash them when his phone rang. She picked it up and saw that it was a call from Wei Dong. She knew what she wanted to say. Therefore, she picked up the phone and before Wei Dong could speak, she said, I've thought about it. I agree to your conditions. I'll get engaged to you. Please transfer the money to me quickly. My brother can't wait any longer. Huamin. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. On the other end of the phone, Wei Dong's voice was choked with emotion. What's wrong? Did something happen? Huamin asked, sensing that something was wrong with Wei Dong's tone. I don't think. I can lend you money. After hearing Wei Dong's words, Huamin's heart sank. Chapter 53. What's wrong? Are you afraid that I won't fulfill my promise after taking your money? I won't, I will do what I promise you, Huamin anxiously explained. No, it's not your problem, it's mine. Anyways. I'm sorry, I don't have the face to see you anymore. Then, before Huamin could say anything, Wei Dong hurriedly hung up the phone. Huamin felt as if her world had collapsed again. The 300,000 yuan that she had worked so hard to gather was now gone in an instant. She really wanted to cry, but Ji Xin was still waiting for her in the VIP operating room. In the end, she thought that if she couldn't do it, then she would go to the media. Even if everyone laughed at her, she didn't care. Saving Jishin's life was more important. She picked up her phone and was about to search for the media when she received a call from the hospital. Mian, hurry up and come over. Your brother's condition isn't good. Okay, I'll be right there. Half an hour later, outside the VIP room of the first hospital. This situation is rare, but it also means that the patient can't afford to wait any longer. I suggest we perform the surgery immediately, but I'm not sure. Hua Mian, I heard from the director that you know Dr. Qin, the special guest professor from last time. If that's the case, I suggest you ask Dr. Qin to perform the surgery. He'll be able to handle it better. After all, you don't want to see any sequelae. Let me think about it. There's no time to think. The patient is suffering from secondary cerebral hemorrhage. If this drags on, he'll die. Okay, wait for me. I'll go now. In the end, her love for Jishin overcame all rationality. Even if Qin Chu laughed at her, even if Qin Chu made things difficult for her, she had to try, for her dearest brother. Qin Clan Headquarters. President Qin, there's a lady here to see you. She says her surname is Hua, the receptionist called. Let her in, Qin Chu thought. Other than Hua Min, he didn't know another woman with the surname Hua. 5 minutes later, Hua Min knocked on the door. Come in. Hua Min opened the door and walked in. Qin Chu was standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling window. The moment he turned around, his eyes were filled with endless gentleness. It seemed that only Hua Min could see such a look in his eyes. You've come. I came to find you because it's urgent. Go ahead. After hesitating for a moment, Hua Min looked at Qin Chu and said slowly, my brother was in a car accident and is being treated in our hospital. However, because of intracranial hemorrhage, the surgery is very difficult and requires a second surgery. The doctors in the hospital are not confident. The director also talked to me and recommended you to be the doctor in charge this time. Also, say it all at once. Qin Chu looked at her and said. Also, the surgery costs 300,000 yuan. Even if you do the surgery, the equipment and drugs in the hospital will cost money. I don't have money. Can you lend me some more money? Hua Min bit her lip and said these two requests with great difficulty. She had thought that Qin Chu would mock her and even make her kneel down, but Hua Mian didn't expect him to do that. After all, 7 years ago, she was the one who abandoned him. She even announced to the entire school that she and Qin Chu were purely classmates at the graduation ceremony. This broke Qin Chu's heart and forced him to leave the country. She thought that now was the time for him to take revenge on her. However, to her surprise, Qin Chu only said, sure, no problem. Really? Hua Min was in disbelief. The truth was, Qin Chu already knew about Hua Min's brother. Hua Min probably didn't know that Qin Chu was watching her every move. After Lu Xiying sent that WeChat message, Qin Chu even checked Hua Min's call records with Wei Dong. That was why he gave the order to kill Desheng's steelworks. Therefore, when Hua Min said this, Qin Chu didn't think it was sudden. He even thought it was an opportunity. I can do the surgery for your brother myself, and I can give you 300,000 yuan, but... Qin Chu paused. Hua Min was slightly disappointed. She knew that he wouldn't help her for free. You have to marry me. What? Hua Min was stunned. What kind of situation was this? How could he bring up the word marriage? Marry me, and I'll help you. Otherwise, no way. Qin Chu's tone was extremely firm. Chapter 54. You just want me, why do you have to go through all the trouble of getting married? Just tell me how many times you want to sleep with me. Hua Min sneered. She thought Qin Chu was just like Wei Dong, someone who took advantage of others when they were down. Deep down, she looked down on him. You're wrong, I do want to sleep with you, but I want to sleep with my wife openly, not in secret. Hua Min remained silent after hearing this. You can think about it before you answer me. I don't need to think about it, I promise you that you can operate on my brother immediately, Hua Min said without hesitation. Okay, let's go now. I'll take Evergreen Street and we can register when we pass by the Civil Affairs Bureau. Today. Hua Min was dumbfounded. Yeah, what else did you think it was? Qin Chu looked at her with a serious expression. Hua Min was shocked, she didn't think that today was a good day to register their marriage. Are you afraid that I won't keep my promise? Do you not trust me that much? Hua Min smiled bitterly. She thought that Qin Chu was afraid that she wouldn't keep her promise and wouldn't marry him after the surgery. However, she had no idea how long Qin Chu had been waiting for this day. No, I just think that today is a good day. Let's go, we still have to go to the hospital for the surgery. After speaking, Qin Chu picked up his jacket and walked out of the office. Hua Min silently followed behind him. The female secretaries in the secretarial office were dumbfounded. Who's that woman? I thought the president doesn't allow other people into his office. Why is she allowed in? I don't know, she doesn't look like the president's girlfriend. She's not very pretty and she's dressed very normal. Could she be the president's new nanny? Are you crazy? Would the president personally interview a nanny? Why don't we ask Assistant Yang? After the female secretaries finished their discussion, there was indeed someone who didn't know what was good for her and asked Assistant Yang. Assistant Yang, who's that woman? The president seems to treat her differently. How would I know? It's also my first time seeing it, Assistant Yang said innocently. Doesn't registration require a household register? I didn't bring mine, Hua Min said softly from the front passenger seat. No need. Ah. Hua Min was dumbfounded again. This was the first time he had heard that a marriage registration did not require a household register. In fact, she had also witnessed Qin Chu's remarkable abilities. Inside the Civil Affairs Bureau in the VIP reception room, the staff handed them a small red booklet. Is that all? Hua Min asked uneasily. Yes, we can check your household registration through the system. I wish you a happy marriage. Let's go. Qin Chu quickly picked up one of the red books. He seemed to be in a good mood. Hua Min followed behind him. He still couldn't believe that they could register without taking anything. She didn't know that when Qin Chu went to the garage to get the car, he called the middle-aged assistant of the leader. Then, he confidently asked for this reward. The middle-aged man was too efficient. How could the Civil Affairs Bureau dare to be negligent? Inside a tea house in Beijing, leader, I've done what you asked me to do. This kid is really special. He actually asked for this kind of reward. The old man had white hair and a kind frown on his face. That's why people who call themselves geniuses always come up with unexpected ideas, the middle-aged man said in all seriousness. Qin Chu, we should go to the hospital, Hua Min urged. From now on, I'm your husband. After speaking, before Hua Min could react, Qin Chu suddenly held her face and kissed her deeply. Then, before Hua Min could react, he stepped on the gas and the car sped away. Hua Min was still in shock in the car. Chapter 55. City First Hospital. Qin Chu was going to be the chief surgeon for Jing Jixin surgery. When the director heard this, he didn't dare to delay and immediately called for the VIP operating room to be prepared. When Chin Chu changed into a white coat and stood outside the operating room, seriously reading through the information, Min looked at him from afar and was surprised by how charming he was. She couldn't believe that everything in front of her was real. There was really a day when she could see him standing in the operating room like a doctor. The light shone on his handsome face. Such a familiar figure, such a man who had once made her love deeply. He was there, so real. She slowly walked over, her footsteps light, but still alerted Chin Chu. The moment he raised his head and saw Min, his gaze softened. I want to go in and be your assistant. No need, you can wait outside for my news. Let me in, I want to. I went in last time for such an important surgery, so it won't be a problem this time. I'll be careful, Min said stubbornly. Chin Chu looked at her for a few seconds and slowly said, it's different this time. He's your brother, I don't want you to be distracted. But Min didn't seem to want to give up and wanted to say more. Chin Chu said to her, do you trust me? Upon hearing this, Min was slightly stunned. Trust me, leave it to me. After a few seconds of silence, Min nodded slightly. Dr. Chin, the surgery can begin. Everything is ready, the assistant chief surgeon opened the door and reminded him. Chin Chu took out a mask from the pocket of his coat and slowly put it on. Then, he turned around and walked into the operating room. At that moment, Min felt like he was the most handsome man in the world. Min waited outside the operating room, inevitably anxious. An hour and a half passed, but there was no sound from inside. Just then, footsteps sounded. Min raised his head and was slightly stunned when he saw who it was. Director, you're here. And what's the situation inside? I don't know yet. Min was a little worried. Don't worry, I believe in Dr. Chin's medical skills. Min nodded. At this moment, the dean said meaningfully, I'm afraid you're the only one who can invite him. Min was a little embarrassed. She didn't want to use her relationship with Chin Chu as a bargaining chip to show off, and she never felt the need to talk about it with anyone. I really want Gao Axian to hire him as a visiting professor, but unfortunately, GK's CEO isn't someone we can afford to hire with money. But I'm curious about something, as his friend, you should know about it, right? What is it? Min asked in a low voice. Dr. Chin was born into a noble family, and he was supposed to be GK's successor when he returned to China. Why did he study at Harvard Medical School after being abroad for 7 years? I think it's a bit puzzling. After Min heard this, he bit his lip slightly. After a while, he replied, actually, I'm not sure either. Upon hearing her answer, the dean was a little slightly disappointed. Don't worry, I'm sure the surgery will be a success. Thank you, Dean. Min nodded her head in thanks. The dean was about to turn and leave when he suddenly remembered something. He turned around and said, an hour ago, the hospital received a payment from GK's finance department for the surgery. It was a total of 500,000 yuan. 300,000 yuan was for your brother's surgery, and I think the remaining 200,000 yuan is for the follow-up treatment. Is that so? Min was a little surprised. Not only did Chin Chu transfer the money so quickly, but he also added 200,000 yuan for the follow-up treatment. It seemed like he was very thoughtful. Finally, the dean looked at Min meaningfully and said, Min, you're very lucky. After speaking, the dean turned around and left. Min stood there in a daze. She used to think that she was the luckiest person in the world to have met Chin Chu. Later, when Uncle Jing got into an accident and they broke up, she was in so much pain. She always thought about how great it would be if she never met Chin Chu. How great it would be if she never went to second high. However, now that time had passed, she realized that the dean was right. When she was in a desperate situation, there were so many people around her, but the only person who could help her was Chin Chu. It was as if she felt inexplicably safe with Chin Chu around. Just as her thoughts were running wild, Hua Min's phone suddenly rang. "Do you need something from me?" Hua Min's tone was cautious when he picked up the phone. Chapter 56. Hua Min, I heard your little brother got into a car accident. A man's voice came from the other end of the line. Although she didn't save his phone number, the last 2 digits of his phone number, 9999, left a deep impression on her. This person was indeed Hua Xiqian, the young master of the Hua family and the current vice president of the Hua Corporation. Yes, what's wrong? Are you here to laugh at me? If you are, you've already seen it. I'm hanging up. Then, Hua Min was about to hang up. Wait. What else do you want? Hua Min didn't have a good impression of Hua Xiqian, even though he had been trying to get close to her all these years. For some reason, she didn't like him. Hua Min even thought that he should be the same as Hui Yanyan and Hua Si. If he hated her, he should show it instead of being so fake. Hua Min, you misunderstood me. I told you before that I'm different from Hui Yanyan and Hua Si. You all have the same surname. What's the difference? Hua Min asked coldly. You're right. Then let me ask you, what's your surname? Hua Xiqian asked with a smile. I don't have time to talk about these pointless things with you. I'm very busy. Goodbye. Hua Min, I can lend you money. Just as Hua Min was about to hang up, Hua Xiqian blurted out. Hua Min was surprised. What? You want to lend me money? Yes, I heard that the driver escaped. The police and traffic police are still investigating and you guys haven't received the appropriate compensation. However, your little brother is hospitalized at the first hospital and needs a lot of money for his treatment. I don't think you have any friends who can give you that much money, including your intern's fiancé. So, I think I can lend you the money. You can pay me back in the future without interest. Why are you being so nice to me? Hua Min sneered. She understood that one should not be rewarded without any effort. Hua Xiqian was a businessman, not a philanthropist. He definitely wouldn't do a losing business. She was really curious. Why would he do this? Because you're my sister. Hua Xiqian smiled. I don't have such a powerful brother like you. I've said it before, don't call me brother and sister anymore. If you want anything, I advise you to give up because I don't have any shares in the Hua family, and the old man won't leave me any inheritance. You've seen all these years, even if I die on the side of the road, he won't care about me, so I really don't have anything to help you, President Hua. You're thinking too much. What could I possibly want from you? I just want to help you. Really? Thank you, but there's no need. My brother's surgery fees have been settled. Done. Who paid so much for you? Hua Xiqian was a little surprised. You don't need to know that. Plus, I don't think we're close enough to discuss private matters like this. Don't call me too often in the future, I don't have time. With that, Hua Min hung up the phone. She really thought that Hua Xiqian was a strange and weird person. Although he was the only one in the Hua family who treated her well, she just didn't like him for some reason. Years ago, after Uncle Jing's accident, she gave up on studying abroad and stayed in China to study at a third-rate university. Hua Xiqian had approached her many times and offered to send her to England, but she had rejected him every time. She really didn't want to have anything to do with the Hua family. She didn't want to go back to that heartless family for the rest of her life. As for her siblings, she only acknowledged Jing Zhixin as her brother. As for the others, she really didn't want to talk to them. Time slowly passed by. 5 hours later, the door to the OR opened. Hua Min immediately stood up. Chapter 57. She thought she saw Chin Chu, but to her surprise, it was Dr. Liu from the hospital's neurosurgery department. "Dr. Liu, how's my brother?" "The surgery was a success, excellent." Upon hearing this, Huamin finally let out a sigh of relief. The weight that had been weighing on his heart for the past few days was finally lifted. "Your brother is very lucky. The blood clot in his brain is located in a very sensitive area, and there has never been a successful case like this in China. However, Dr. Qin's medical skills are incredible. With him as the lead surgeon, our chances of success are much higher." Dr. Liu was generous with his praise. Huamin smiled slightly. Everyone was praising Chin Chu. It was obvious that he played a key role in this surgery. "Where's my brother?" "He was pushed to the VIP room by the assistant. He'll wake up in 12 hours, don't worry." "Okay, thank you, Dr. Liu." "It's okay, we didn't do much, we just assisted. Dr. Qin is the one who really worked hard, but he seems to be a bit unwell and is in the waiting room." Then, Dr. Liu and the other doctors and nurses left the operating room. Seeing that Chin Chu didn't come out, Huamin opened the door and walked in. The surgery was over, and the waiting room next to it was for the lead surgeon to take a break. When Huamin walked in, he saw Chin Chu sitting on the sofa, looking a bit haggard. She probably didn't know that Chin Chu had just returned from a business trip the night before the surgery. Then, he had a meeting that very night. Because GK was involved in too many industries, it was very busy 365 days a year. Although Chin Chu's father, Chin Yumin, was the chairman of GK, his heart was weak and his blood pressure was high. Therefore, he had entered a state of quiet recuperation. Other than projects that involved billions of yuan, he didn't interfere with anything else and left it to Chin Chu to run. Although Chin Chu didn't like the position of GK's president, because of the promise from many years ago, he would do his best. He had a lot of work to do, he didn't sleep well last night, and he had to rush to the surgery today. Naturally, he was exhausted. The most important thing was that he hadn't eaten anything for an entire day. His stomach was already starting to protest. Brain surgeries were torturous because they required high concentration. Otherwise, one wrong step could endanger the patient's life or cause permanent sequelae. What's more, his opponent was Huamin's younger brother. Naturally, Chin Chu would do his best. "Drink some warm water. You don't look well." Huamin filled a disposable paper cup with warm water and handed it over. Chin Chu raised his head and glanced at Huamin. He took the cup but did not say anything. "Thank you so much for today." Huamin expressed his heartfelt gratitude. Chin Chu held the cup of hot water in his hand and replied word by word, "There's no need to be so polite between husband and wife." Huamin was speechless for a moment. If he hadn't reminded her, she would have forgotten that today was the day they registered their marriage. "Chin Chu. Can you not tell anyone about our marriage?" "Why not? After all, our identities are so different. Are you trying to say that my status as GK's president is embarrassing you? Do you think it's embarrassing?" Chin Chu put down the cup of water he hadn't had time to drink, and his tone gradually turned cold. "No, I just don't want the media to report on us. I don't want my mom to see us. You should know how much she misunderstands you. Do we have to keep our marriage a secret for the rest of our lives because of this?" Chin Chu was obviously unwilling to accept the fact that he couldn't tell his wife about his marriage. God knew, he wanted nothing more than to announce to the world that he and Huamin were married. Chapter 58. Huamin shook his head. "No, I just want to give my mom some time. After all, she's not in good health. I'm afraid that she won't be able to accept it right away." Chin Chu stared into Huamin's eyes for a while. Finally, he gave in to Huamin's sincere gaze. Then we'll do as you say. After speaking, Qin Chu stood up and walked out. Where are you going? Back to the company, Qin Chu said as he took off his white coat and walked out. Eat something before you leave. There's a staff cafeteria downstairs. After Huamin said this, he regretted it. How could someone like Qin Chu go to the staff cafeteria? It's okay. As expected, he refused. Just as he walked to the door, Qin Chu suddenly remembered something. He turned around, walked back a few steps, picked up the cup of warm water on the coffee table, and drank it all in one gulp. It tastes good. After speaking, Qin Chu turned around and left again. Huamin was dumbfounded. It was just a cup of water, how could it taste that good? When Qin Chu returned to the company, Assistant Yang was about to go crazy. The president had lost contact with him for 5 hours. His phone was turned off, and he couldn't find him no matter what happened. He even had to ask the chairman, but now, the chairman made a big deal out of nothing and sent everyone to look for the president. He almost called the police. President Qin, you're finally back. Assistant Yang looked like he was about to cry. What's up? There's an important document that needs your signature, but I couldn't get through to your phone. In the end, I called the chairman, and he came to take care of it, but, go on. But the chairman seems to be very worried about your safety. Many people in the company are looking for your car. They've searched the entire city. They thought that something happened to you. President Qin, where did you go? Do I have to report to you where I go? Qin Chu glanced at Assistant Yang faintly. No, that's not what I meant. I'm just worried about your safety, Chairman Qin. Also, there are too many things going on in the company. I really can't handle it if I can't find you in 5 hours. If GK's assistant position was so easy, why would I hire you for 30,000 a month? Qin Chu asked back. Assistant Yang was speechless. However, what the CEO said seemed to make sense. Shouldn't the assistant help the CEO deal with some messy matters? President Qin, these documents need your signature. Please take a look. Yes. Qin Chu nodded, but his expression didn't look good. President Qin, you don't look too well. Pour me a glass of water, Qin Chu ordered. Yes. Assistant Yang carefully placed a cup of warm water on the table. Qin Chu took a sip of water while looking at the pile of documents. Then, he frowned slightly. What's wrong? President Qin, isn't it too cold? Why doesn't it taste good? Qin Chu looked up and asked in all seriousness. Assistant Yang froze for a second, then stuttered as he explained, this isn't coffee or tea, it's just plain water. Of course it doesn't taste good. But the one I just drank was delicious. President Qin, where did you drink it? I'll go learn how to drink it later and see what brand they drink. Qin Chu didn't say anything else. He lowered his head and began working seriously again. After Huamin's surgery, Jing Jixin was doing well. After Huamin told his mother the news, although she was still unhappy, she looked a lot more relaxed. She walked out of the room and planned to report to the head nurse at the OB/GYN department. However, she was stopped by an unfamiliar middle-aged woman. You're Jing Jixin's sister, right? You are. I'm also a family member of a serial car accident. My son was also seriously injured and broke one of his legs. Why are you looking for me? Huamin asked the family member, whom he didn't know. Are you satisfied with the compensation that they offered? Did you agree to settle it privately? Compensation. Privately. Huamin was confused. No one was looking for her. Chapter 59. Yeah, didn't they come looking for you? No. Oh, then they'll probably come soon. They've already come to us three, so it'll be your turn soon. Aside from the girl who died, your brother was the most seriously injured out of the three of us, so they'll probably compensate you more than us. As she spoke, Huamin saw the envy in the middle-aged woman's eyes. I've already done my research on this malicious car accident. Apparently, the perpetrator was drunk and was even speeding on campus, which prohibits speeding. This is a terrible behavior, and it's not something that can be solved with compensation and an apology. It's already a criminal offense. After I gather the evidence in a few days, I'll sue them. I don't want any compensation, I just want a fair result. With that, Huamin turned around and left. This girl must be an idiot, the middle-aged woman muttered to herself behind Huamian. Was Huamin really an idiot? Of course not, she just didn't want to use her brother's health in exchange for some so-called compensation. What she wanted was to bring the malicious perpetrator to justice. To cause a drunken car accident on campus and cause a chain accident that resulted in 1 death and 3 injuries, not only did he not take responsibility for his actions, he even ran away. This kind of person was truly immoral. Apparently, the girl who died was the girl who sat in the passenger seat beside him. Apparently, they were even dating. Now that his girlfriend had died in the hospital, not only did that brat not show up, but his lawyer had been talking to the family members in private. Huamin already had an idea in her mind. Luckily, Jixin was fine. Otherwise, if there were any sequelae, she would rather give up everything and fight it out with those people. As expected, just as Huamin was about to get off work, she received a call from the perpetrator's lawyer, asking for a private talk. After Huamin agreed, she went straight to the coffee shop they had agreed to meet at. It was near the hospital. The other party was a lawyer in his 40s. He wore glasses, had a square face, and was wearing a black suit with a black briefcase in hand. "You're Miss Huamin, right?" Huamin nodded. "Hello, I'm Luo Qing, the lawyer representing the client, Louis Gong. I'm here today for a simple reason. The Liu family wants to settle this privately. They don't want to make a big deal out of it, nor do they want to go through legal procedures. I heard that Miss Hua's brother is seriously injured and is receiving treatment. I think it will cost a lot of money. I suggest that you give me a reasonable amount, and I'll ask the client to compensate you. Do you think they can satisfy me with just a random number?" Huamian sneered. "Of course not. As long as it's within reason, we can accept it," said Mr. Luo confidently. "What do you mean within reason?" "Mr. Song, please explain, I don't really understand." Huamin smiled. Mr. Luo immediately took out a thick stack of documents from his briefcase and said to Huamian, "Miss Hua, we have some understanding of your family situation. Your family situation isn't very good, so I'm sure you'll need this money. Of course, we won't give you too little. After all, in addition to the cost of the treatment, we'll also pay you some compensation for psychological damage. I heard that the surgery costs around 300,000 yuan, and the follow-up treatment costs 70,000 to 80,000 yuan. On top of that, we'll add another 300,000 yuan. My client wants to pay 700,000 yuan. What do you think, Miss Hua?" 700,000 yuan, that's a lot of money, Huamin slowly said. Chapter 60. Lawyer Luo immediately pushed the documents over and smiled. "Since Miss Hua is fine with it, please sign it. I promise to settle this privately so I can get my client to transfer the money. But can 700,000 yuan buy my brother's health? Do you know that he almost suffered from cerebral palsy?" asked Huamin coldly, glaring at Lawyer Luo. When Mr. Luo saw that the situation had changed, his expression changed slightly. Then, he adjusted his glasses and said, "We're also very sorry about this. My client was also drunk at the time. He didn't do it on purpose. He knows that he was wrong. I don't think so. He hasn't shown his face even once since the accident. Also, he fled right after the accident. I don't think he would have taken responsibility for it if it hadn't caused such a huge impact. That's not it. How about this, Miss Hua? We're both straightforward people, so I won't hide it from you. The compensation for the other two victims is 500,000 yuan each, and one of them even lost a leg. Your brother is said to be out of danger, and the surgery was very successful. I'll give you an additional 100,000 yuan. 800,000 yuan. That way, you'll get a lot more than the other two. Is that okay? How about that? 800,000 yuan. Ha. Then I'll pay 800,000 yuan. Will you let me hit you so hard that you end up like my brother? Lawyer Luo's expression immediately darkened. Miss Hua, we are very sincere. Since it has already happened, we have to face it. You have to know that we only paid 850,000 yuan for the girl who died. Comparatively speaking, 800,000 yuan is already a lot. Also, we will transfer the money immediately and won't delay the payment by even a day. Don't you need money? Compared to money, I believe that I need a fair outcome more, said Huamin as she stared at Lawyer Luo. So you're saying? I won't accept a private settlement. I will file a lawsuit with the court. According to the current traffic laws, your client has caused a serious car accident. Not only was he drunk driving, but he was also fleeing. Speeding on campus is strictly prohibited. I believe the judge will give me a reasonable explanation. After Huamin said this, Lawyer Luo suddenly laughed. What are you laughing at? Huamin was a little angry. I'm laughing at how naive you are, Miss Hua. I didn't expect such a naive girl like you to exist. What do you mean? Miss Hua, you probably don't know my client's background. My client, LV Igong, is just a 21-year-old college student. Do you know what his parents do? Huamin remained silent and waited for Huamin. It's okay to tell you. His parents are both officials and his relatives are officials. To put it bluntly, he is the second generation of officials. What do you think the court can win against someone with such a background? If you know what's good for you, why don't you just accept the compensation and let the matter rest? Even if someone's daughter died, they wouldn't speak as righteously as you. Don't think that you're some kind of judge who wants justice. Let me tell you, there is no justice in this world. If you have money and power, you are the sky. If you don't have money and power, you will be stepped on by others. You might feel uncomfortable saying this, but so what? It's the truth. He has a background. I'm so scared. Huamin smiled faintly. Then, he continued, indeed, he has a powerful background. I can tell that this isn't a simple matter from the way the Ministry of Transportation and the police are dragging their feet. But so what? Do we have to spoil him just because he has a background? I'm not his mother. Why should I forgive him if he makes a mistake? Suing him in court is just a procedure. I have to go through with it. You can also choose to use your connections. But, don't forget, there's another place called the media. If the media makes too much noise and public opinion becomes too much, I want to see how long his powerful parents can protect him. After Huamin finished speaking, Lawyer Luo was completely speechless. Chapter 61. He originally thought that Huamin was just a naive little girl. He didn't expect her to be so meticulous. Miss Hua, tell me, what do you want in order for you to stop? How much do you want? Just name a price. Mr. Luo thought that Huamin was making such a fuss because she wasn't satisfied with the compensation. I think you don't understand my intentions. I may have been short of money before, but now I have enough money for my brother's surgery. So, no matter how much money you give me, it won't stop me from suing you. If you really want to settle this peacefully, why don't you let the drunk driver who caused the serial car accident stay in prison for 3 to 5 years and teach him how to be a good person? That way, he won't continue to hurt others after drinking. Are you kidding me? You want my client to turn himself in? That's impossible. Really? Then I'll see you in court, Mr. Luo. With that, Hua Min stood up and left. Miss Hua, is there no room for negotiation? Mr. Luo didn't give up and chased after her with questions. This time, Hua Min didn't even look back. She opened the door and walked out. She couldn't imagine what kind of person was thinking when he drove a Porsche around the campus, causing 1 death and 3 serious injuries. The one who died was his girlfriend. In that kind of situation, if his girlfriend was seriously injured, shouldn't he immediately call the police or 120? Why would he get out of the car, open the door, and run away without caring about the lives of others? She heard that the dead girl missed the best time to be saved because she was sent to the hospital too late. Otherwise, she might have survived. How could she forgive such a scumbag? Her little brother almost became disabled. His health couldn't be measured by money. Late at night, in a certain RV, you mean that the other party won't compromise? No matter how much they pay? A middle-aged man asked faintly. Yes, Mr. Liu. That girl is very stubborn and insists on suing. She even said that she will alert the media and make sure your son goes to jail. Ridiculous. My son isn't someone that lowly commoner can do whatever she wants. Yes, Mr. Liu, you're right. Next, we. Mr. Luo probed carefully. We will take care of the rest. You just need to get the other 3 families to sign first. Hua Min went back to his rented apartment and changed his clothes. Then, he took the bus back to the hospital because he was worried about his mother. Mom, Jixin is fine now. He'll wake up tomorrow. Don't worry. Let me ask you, where did you get the money to pay for Jixin's surgery? I heard from the doctor that it cost hundreds of thousands. I borrowed it from a friend. Which friend has the ability to lend you so much money? Don't tell me you've spoken to that damned mother of yours. No, with that guy's personality, he would never give you so much money. Did you do something shameful? Young Meirong stared into her daughter's eyes and asked coldly. Mom, I didn't. Hua Min thought that if her mother found out that she was married to Qin Chu, then she would be condemned for eternity. Then let me ask you, how are things going between you and Ning Ziyuan? Are you still going to marry him? Yang Meirong asked again. At the mention of Ning Ziyuan, Hua Min fell silent for a moment. In fact, she didn't know what to say. Why aren't you talking? Are you mute? Yang Meirong continued to interrogate. After a moment of silence, Hua Min slowly said, Mom, Ning Ziyuan and I have broken up. We won't have anything to do with each other anymore. Is it because of that kid from the Qin family? No. Hua Min immediately denied. Don't blame me for not reminding you of how your uncle Jing died back then. The Qin family is our enemy. If you dare to have anything to do with their family again, don't blame me for flaying your skin, Yang Meirong threatened fiercely. I know. Hua Min obviously didn't have much confidence. No one knew how difficult it was for her. If she didn't marry Qin Chu, Jixin might have died a long time ago. Just then, Hua Min's phone rang. When she saw the caller ID, she immediately felt guilty. What she was afraid of really happened. Who else could it be but Qin Chu with 8,866 yuan? Chapter 62. Mom, I'm going out to take a call. It's getting late, you should get some rest. I'll get you discharged tomorrow, and then we'll go see Jishin. After speaking, Huamin carefully left the room with his phone in hand. Hello. She quietly picked up the phone. Where are you? Chin Chu asked. The hospital. When are you going back? I'm working the night shift. When do you get off work? Tomorrow morning. I'll pick you up. No need. Why not? Chin Chu was clearly displeased. Did he have to remind her that they were already married? It's because your Audi R8 is too flashy, and I don't want people to talk about it in the hospital. Plus, even the director's car isn't as good as yours. If Hua Mian remembered correctly, the director only drove an Audi A8. If she really got into an Audi R8 at the hospital entrance, her spine would probably be torn apart. On the other end, Chin Chu remained silent. Hua Min thought he was angry. Actually, I can take the bus by myself, she added. Slam. He hung up the phone. This guy's temper was still the same as 7 years ago, arrogant and twisted. What a weirdo. After working the night shift, Hua Min was extremely sleepy. When she woke up in the morning, she helped her mother get discharged. Then, the two of them went to the VIP room together. Jishin hadn't woken up yet, but Dr. Lu said that his vitals had stabilized, and it was only a matter of time before he woke up. In the end, her mother stayed to take care of Jishin, and Hua Min planned to go home and get a good night's sleep. It had been a few days, and she felt like she was going to break down after being in the hospital for so long. When Hua Min walked out of the hospital, a white Volkswagen CC stopped in front of her. Just as she was wondering what was going on, the person in the car rolled down the window and said, "Get in." Why are you here? Hua Min didn't think that Chin Chu would come and drive such a low-key Volkswagen CC. The cars behind kept honking because the arrogant car owner was standing at the entrance, seriously disrupting the traffic. Hua Min didn't dare to stay any longer. He immediately opened the door and sat in the passenger seat. Satisfied, Chin Chu started the car and drove away. You changed your car? She asked softly. It's my assistant's car. I borrowed it, Chin Chu said casually. God knows, he called Xiao Yang early in the morning and said that he wanted to swap cars with him. Little Yang was very conflicted. He really didn't have the confidence to drive Boss Audi R8 to work. Also, what was so good about his CC that cost less than 300,000 yuan? Why did the boss take a fancy to it? After saying this, Hua Min stopped talking. The two of them looked at each other in silence. What do you want to eat? Hua Min was confused by Chin Chu's sudden question. What do you want to eat? Let's not eat, I don't have much of an appetite. Chinese or Western? Chin Chu didn't care about Hua Min's reaction and continued to ask. After hesitating for a long time, she saw that this guy was still as domineering as before. She had no choice but to compromise. Chinese then. 15 minutes later, the car stopped in front of first-class royal palace. Chin Chu took her in and went straight to the private room on the second floor. Then, they ordered shrimp dumplings, crab congee, and morning tea. Hua Min hadn't eaten so much in the morning for a long time. While eating, she secretly glanced at Chin Chu. She saw him eating elegantly while flipping through the screen of his phone to check today's stock market. I'm done. Hua Min finally put down the spoon and slowly said. And, then you can pay with your card, Chin Chu said casually. Why do I have to pay? Hua Min was about to go crazy. She felt that Chin Chu shouldn't be such a stingy person. Besides, what kind of place was first-class royal palace? A breakfast here cost at least 1,000 yuan, right? She didn't have that much cash on her. She only had around 200 yuan for pocket money. Chin Chu raised his head, picked up a tissue and elegantly wiped the corner of his mouth. He looked at Huamin and said seriously, "My salary for this month was transferred to your card last night. Of course, you have to pay." Huamin froze on the spot. Chapter 63. He said that he transferred his salary for this month to her card. This news came too suddenly, and she didn't even have time to process it. "Waiter, the bill please," Chin Chu said. "Hello, your total bill is 1,080 yuan. I'm looking for her," Chin Chu said casually as he pointed at Huamin. Huamin took out the only ICBC card from her bag. If she remembered correctly, there was less than 800 yuan left on this card. She didn't know how much money Chin Chu transferred to her. He wasn't messing with her, right? After the waiter swiped the card, he carefully returned it, and the two of them walked out of the restaurant together. Huamin was still struggling with the question, but she was too embarrassed to ask it. "Do you want to know how much my monthly salary is?" Chin Chu asked on her behalf when he saw how conflicted she was. Huamin immediately nodded her head. Her cute look made Chin Chu's lips curve up slightly. "Why don't you check your bank account on your phone?" What kind of stupid answer was that? Was he messing with her? Just then, Chin Chu's phone rang. "Okay, I got it, but I have something important to take care of right now. Tell them to postpone the meeting for 30 minutes. After speaking, Chin Chu hung up the phone. "Since you have something important to take care of, let's go our separate ways here. I'll take the bus home." Chin Chu glanced at Huamin and said coldly, "The important thing I said was to take you home." Chin Chu looked at her like she was an idiot. Sometimes, he really wondered if Huamin, a super genius with an IQ of 130, was actually a weirdo with a high IQ but a low EQ. After hearing this, Huamin's expression slowed down by half a beat. Then, a warm feeling rose in her heart. "Let's go, get in the car." 20 minutes later, Chin Chu sent Huamin to her rented apartment. "All right, I'm here. Please send me back." Huamin was still not used to Chin Chu's kindness. After all, they had been separated for more than 7 years. Suddenly living together in such an intimate relationship, there was really no way to adapt at all. "I'll pick you up after work." "There's no need for that. The rent here will be refunded. Move to my place." Chin Chu's tone was tough. "No." Huamin immediately refused. Chin Chu stared at her with a complicated expression. "We're husband and wife. We can't live separately right after we got married, right? Or do you think that after I helped you, you can ignore me for half a year and then ask for a divorce? Are you trying to burn the bridge after crossing the river?" "That's not what I meant," Huamin explained. "Then it's settled. I'll pick you up tonight. Don't bring anything from here. We don't need anything over there." Without waiting for Huamin to reply, Chin Chu turned around and left. Huamin looked at the tall and handsome back and sighed slightly. It had been 7 years. His overbearing, arrogant, and prideful temper hadn't changed at all. In fact, it seemed to have gotten worse. But was it really convenient to move in with him? Didn't he live with his parents? She had met Mr. and Mrs. Chin years ago. They didn't like her at all. She didn't like them either. After Uncle Jing died, she saw Chin Chu's parents as murderers. Huamin couldn't imagine what it would be like to live under the same roof as her enemies. When Chin Chu returned to the company, there was still 5 minutes before the meeting. He walked straight into the meeting room and flipped through the documents his assistant gave him. Then, he listened to the reports from the higher-ups of each department. An hour later, the meeting was over. Chin Chu hadn't said a single word. President Chin, the meeting is about to end. Is there anything else you'd like to add? Assistant Yang asked carefully. Chin Chu slowly closed the documents in his hands and looked around. All of the higher-ups lowered their heads. They didn't dare to make eye contact with their boss in case they made a mistake. Inform the finance department that all employees will receive double pay this month. President Chin, this. The good news came so suddenly that Assistant Yang didn't know what to say. The other higher-ups also had astonished expressions on their faces. Today, could it be some kind of auspicious day? Chapter 64. President Chin, did the company get a good project? One of the vice presidents asked, trying to suck up to Chin Chu. Chin Chu thought for a moment, then he leaned on his forehead and said thoughtfully, a good project? Yes, it's a project that I've been thinking about for years, and now it's finally settled. That's great, President Chin, can you tell us what the project is? We want to share the good news with you, the vice president continued to suck up to Chin Chu. To his surprise, Chin Chu slowly stood up, adjusted his collar, and said faintly, you don't need to know. Anyways, today is a good day. Then, Chin Chu turned around and left. The executives were left in a mess. Assistant Yang secretly counted with his 10 fingers. There were a total of 2,000 employees at GK's headquarters, and the employees' monthly salary was 8 million yuan. However, with one sentence from the president, they were offered 8 million yuan more this month. It seemed like rich people could do whatever they wanted. Their boss was more than just a little capricious. President Chin. Assistant Yang followed behind Chin Chu and ran over. What is it? There's something I want to say. Say it. But I'm afraid you'll be mad. Then don't say it. Chin Chu's words almost made Assistant Yang cry. No, President Chin, I really want to talk to you. Say it. When are you going to give my car back to me? Assistant Yang looked like he was about to cry. He drove his boss's Audi R8 to work every day, and not only did he have to endure criticism from his colleagues, but he also had to worry about getting to and from work every day. He was afraid that he would scratch his boss's car, and that he couldn't afford to pay for it. Although his boss's car was insured, if he scratched his boss's beloved car, then it wouldn't be a problem that money could solve. If that happened, he might even lose his job. Speaking of which, Assistant Yang's job was like a free lunch that fell from the sky. The former president's assistant was a very capable middle-aged woman, but as soon as the new president took office, he transferred her to a subsidiary company to be the president. The empty position was supposed to be filled by an outsider, but the new president chose him, the most inconspicuous person, out of all the recruiters. When GK called him and told him to come to work, he thought he had encountered a scammer. Later, he found out that the new CEO had chosen him for 2 reasons. Firstly, he was a man, and the new CEO did not seem to like to have too much contact with women. Secondly, he also studied in Erzhong High School. It was said that the CEO was also a student of Erzhong High School. Speaking of which, they were schoolmates. Yang wasn't stupid. He could vaguely sense that Second High held an extraordinary significance to the new president, however, the president was so capricious. He borrowed his Volkswagen CC and gave him an Audi R8, which made him very depressed. After listening to Yang's request, Chin Chu pondered for a while and asked, "Is the car not fast enough?" Assistant Yang hurriedly waved his hands. No, it's simply too fast. Don't you like that color? No, President Chin, I like the color too. It's high-end and classy. That means you don't think it's cool enough. If that's the case, I have a Ferrari and a Lamborghini in my garage, before Chin Chu could finish, Assistant Yang almost knelt down. President Chin, it's really cool, but it's not suitable for someone of my status. I'm just an assistant, how can I afford such a good car? These past few days, I've been tossing and turning in bed, unable to sleep. I'm scared that I'll be scratched during the day, and I'm scared that my car will be stolen at night. President Chin, please do me a favor and return my car to me. Seeing how sincere Assistant Yang was, Chin Chu thought for a while and nodded. Okay, since you're in such a difficult situation, I'll return your car to you. Thank you for your understanding, President Chin. Assistant Yang finally let out a sigh of relief. Then call the 4S shop later and order me a car that's exactly the same as yours. Assistant Yang was once again confused. He didn't understand why the president lowered his status and insisted on driving a Volkswagen. Was it just because it was locally produced? Was the president very, very patriotic? Sir, do you know how to sing the March of the Volunteer Army? After hesitating for a while, Assistant Yang weakly asked. Chin Chu frowned slightly and looked at this weird male assistant in confusion. Chapter 65. Sir, I'll go buy a car for you right now. Seeing the president's expression, Assistant Yang didn't dare to say anything more and turned around to leave. Chin Chu sat quietly in his office under the warm sunlight. He carefully opened the drawer of his desk and took out the yellowed old photo. He quietly looked at it for a while. Finally, he carefully put it back. Luxury Design Department, Jiang Linyue heard that the president was in a good mood today and even gave her double pay, so she thought this was a rare opportunity. After work, Jiang Linyue purposely carried a lot of documents and walked towards the president's office in her 5-inch heels. As she wished, she saw the president walk out of his office. Just as the two were about to walk past each other, Jiang Linyue purposely slipped. Then, all the documents in her hands flew out. She also elegantly fell to the ground. Jiang Linyue didn't realize what happened until she was lying on the ground and felt pain all over her body. Shouldn't the president be the one to catch her at a critical moment and gently hug her? That's how romance novels are written, and that's how the 8 p.m. TV shows are played. Who could tell her why she didn't succeed? Chin Chu looked at the female employee who fell in front of him and frowned slightly. Walking over her was too ungentlemanly. Chin Chu decided to walk around Jiang Linyue, as if she was nothing more than an obstacle in his way. Then, he picked up his phone and called his assistant, Assistant Yang. Sir, what are your orders? Tell the administration department that starting tomorrow, all female employees at the company are not allowed to wear shoes over 3 inches high. Understood, sir. Although Assistant Yang didn't know why the president gave such a strange order, he did as he was told. Jiang Linyue looked at the president's back as he left, wanting to cry. What could she do to get close to this sugar daddy? She felt a sharp pain in her foot. Would it break? She really did everything she could to get the president's attention. Min took a hot shower at home, washed a lot of clothes, and did a thorough cleaning. Just as she was about to take a break, she heard a knock on the door. She looked at the clock. It was 5:30. It seemed that the person who came at this time should be Chin Chu. Sure enough, when she opened the door, she saw Chin Chu standing at the door. He was wearing a navy blue custom-made Italian suit. He hadn't had time to change, which meant that he had just gotten off work. I'll pick you up. Let's go. I still have a lot of things here. I'll take them all. No, I'll get someone to take care of this. You just need to bring some necessities. I'll wait for you in the car. 10 minutes later, Min came out of the room with a cardboard box. Inside were some of her favorite books and a watermelon pillow. She had lived in this house for more than a year, so she really couldn't bear to move out all of a sudden. However, Chin Chu was right. Since the two of them were already married, it was indeed a bit unreasonable to continue living separately. When you check out, don't forget to take back the 2,000 yuan deposit that I paid, Min reminded as he sat in the passenger seat. Chin Chu was a bit speechless, but he still nodded. On the way back, Min was a bit uneasy. Are we going to live with your parents? After a long moment of hesitation, Min finally asked. Are you kidding me? So you're saying that we're going to live alone? Min was a bit excited. What do you think? Chin Chu asked back. Chapter 66. Min bit her lips and didn't say anything else. However, she was secretly relieved. She really didn't like Chin Chu's parents and didn't want to have anything to do with them. Half an hour later, they arrived at Imperial Park, the largest wealthy district in First Ring Road. Chin Chu slowly stopped the car. Min raised her head and looked at the luxurious wealthy district, feeling emotional. This place opened 2 years ago and was only sold last year. It was said that the unit price per square meter was more than 80,000 yuan. This was a famous wealthy district in Sea City. Apparently, a famous feng shui master from Hong Kong was hired to take a look. It was backed by a mountain, facing a lake, and on the left was the road. It was as the saying went, azure dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, and black tortoise were all here, because it was close to the largest natural lake, Lake Emerald. The property prices here were always high. Netizens on the forum once joked that this place was a treasure trove of feng shui. If the direction was reversed, it would be as good as the Sun Yat-sen Mausoleum. Are we staying here? Yes. Chin Chu nodded and led Min inside. It was a small high-rise design. The tallest building was only 16 floors. The space between the floors was large and there was plenty of sunlight. The architectural style was British style with a dark red exterior. Min liked it very much. The district's lobby was luxuriously decorated and could be compared to a 5-star hotel. Chin Chu led Min into the spacious elevator and pressed the 16th floor. It seemed like it was the top floor, Min thought to herself. A few seconds later they arrived at the 16th floor. Min looked around and was surprised to find that there was only one unit on this floor. It seemed like there was only one unit per floor. Rich people really could do whatever they wanted. Chin Chu took out the key and opened the door. Min followed him in. Min's eyes lit up when she saw the facilities inside. It was a spacious and bright duplex. Everything upstairs and downstairs could be seen at a glance. The white European-style decor was grand and gorgeous. At a glance, it was at least 200 square meters. In such a sky-high price area, it was really a luxurious house among luxurious houses. Because we decided to get married at the last minute, we didn't have time to choose an address, so we bought this place at the last minute. We'll make do with it for a while. When the renovation of the Nanshan villa is done, we'll move there. No need, it's fine here. Min swallowed his saliva and replied slowly. If I didn't hear wrong, Chin Chu said that he bought this place at the last minute and wanted to make do with it. Oh my god, 80,000 yuan per square meter, a prime location in First Ring Road, less than 10 minutes walk from the first hospital. Chin Chu actually said that he would make do with a house that cost more than 10 million yuan and renovations that cost more than 1 million yuan. Everything here is complete. If you need anything, just tell me and I'll get someone to prepare it. Alright. Min nodded. At this moment, Chin Chu's phone rang. Hey, I'll go back now. Wait for me. After hanging up the phone, Chin Chu looked at Min and said, I have to go back to the Nanshan villa for a bit. You should get some rest. Okay. Min nodded. Chin Chu got up and was about to leave when he suddenly thought of something. He walked in a few steps, took out a key card and a bunch of keys, and placed them in Huamin's palm. Take these are the keys. The real estate certificate is on the coffee table. You can keep these. After speaking, Chin Chu turned around and left. Huamin held on to the keys, a little confused. She just moved in with Chin Chu. She glanced at the real estate certificate on the coffee table and opened it. Sure enough, she was the owner of the house. At this moment, she actually felt her eyes sting. It wasn't that a man spending money on you was a good thing. It was just that she understood Chin Chu. Although he was domineering and overbearing, he would always give you what he thought was the best. That was his way of being nice. It was like this 7 years ago, and it was still like this 7 years later. Chin Chu, he was the man that she once loved so deeply that it was engraved in her heart. Huamin stared at the real estate certificate in a daze. Then, she suddenly thought of something and quickly took out her phone to open up the mobile banking app. Then, she entered the password and checked her balance. If she remembered correctly, Chin Chu said that he transferred this month's salary to her card yesterday. She really wanted to know how much Tsundra Chin's monthly salary was. Chapter 67. When Huamin saw his balance, he was shocked. He carefully looked at the zeros. 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, a million. That's right, with Huamin's 800 yuan balance, he had a total of 1,800,000 yuan. So, Chin Chu's monthly salary was 1 million yuan. 1 million yuan wasn't a lot for Chin Chu. The GK Corporation's total assets were at least a few billion yuan. A mere 1 million yuan was just a formality. The finance department gave the president a symbolic salary of 1 million yuan each month. However, 1 million yuan was already an astronomical figure for Huamin. Did that mean she would never have to worry about food and clothing? Did this mean she married into a rich family? Lying on the sofa, Huamin looked at the mansion, the real estate certificate, the marriage certificate, and the balance on his bank account. All of a sudden, he felt like everything was surreal. It took Chin Chu more than 30 minutes to drive from Imperial Park to the hillside mansion. When he got home, it was already past 6 in the evening, close to 7. After Chin Chu parked his car, he noticed that there were a few more cars in the parking lot. There was a Bentley, a Maserati, and a Porsche 918. It seemed like someone came to visit. Chin Chu silently took out his keys and opened the door. As expected, the living room was filled with people. Chu, you're back. Just in time, we're all waiting for you to eat. I'm not eating. After speaking, Chin Chu walked past the crowd and headed upstairs. He came back to get some things. Then, he would officially move out. However, Chin Chu's parents didn't seem to know. They called a few friends over, including 2 young girls who looked like spoiled socialites. When Chin Chu came downstairs, he had a paper bag in his hand. Inside were some of his personal belongings. Chu, let me introduce you. This is Auntie Lu's daughter, Gao Meina, the daughter of the president of Fictional Group. This is Uncle Zhao's sister, Zhao Yihuan, the daughter of the president of Xingqi Media Group. They are. Mom, I have something to do, so I'll leave first. By the way, I've been busy with work recently, so I won't be coming back to live. I bought a house for myself outside, so call me if you need anything. After saying this, Chin Chu left. Chu. Mama Chin felt awkward. She called her son a few times, but he didn't come back. Chin Yumin had not been in the city recently. He had gone on a trip to Switzerland with a few old friends. Chin Chu's mother took the opportunity to invite a few rich ladies who often had afternoon tea to the house. She even brought their daughters along. She wanted to create an opportunity for her son, but her son did not give her a chance at all. He even moved away. It was so sudden. Your son seems to be very busy, huh? A noblewoman awkwardly tried to smooth things over. Lady Qin smiled and said, "Don't mind him, huh? My son came back not long ago. As soon as he became the president of GK, he's been very busy. He rarely has dinner with us. It's okay, young people these days are all dedicated to their work. It's good to be busy." Another noblewoman smiled. "Auntie Qin, Qin Chu is so handsome, I like his type." Miss Gao smiled shyly. "Qin Chu is really arrogant, but I like him." The other noblewoman also looked satisfied. Lady Qin could only laugh awkwardly. "Emichim, I'll ask him to come back for dinner next time. The company has been very busy lately, my son has been working overtime." Qin Chu drove straight to his home at Imperial Park. When he walked in, Huamin was already asleep on the sofa. She was only wearing a short-sleeved shirt and cropped pants. Her white ankles were exposed, making her look both seductive and cute. Qin Chu didn't say anything. He took off his suit jacket and covered her with it. Huamin was probably too tired, so she didn't notice at all. She didn't react until she smelled something delicious. It smelled like toast. She spent the afternoon cleaning up the rental apartment and didn't have time to cook. She must be hungry now. Huamin groggily woke up. As soon as she opened her eyes, she saw the dazzling chandelier. She then realized that she was no longer in her rental apartment. This was her and Qin Chu's new home. "You're awake." Qin Chu looked at her gently and asked. Chapter 68. Huamin looked up in a daze and saw Qin Chu sitting on the sofa next to him. He was wearing a coffee-colored shirt, casual pants, and a limited-edition Patek Philippe diamond watch. He looked extremely luxurious. His fingers were flying across the keyboard of his laptop, and he looked like he was busy working. "Emichim," Huamin answered in a daze. "I made something, let's eat together." Before Huamin could respond, Qin Chu put down his laptop, got up, and went into the kitchen. Then, he brought out 2 servings of toast, bacon, and 2 cups of steaming hot coffee. Huamin wanted to say that he wasn't hungry, but just as he was about to speak, his stomach grumbled. Qin Chu pushed the toast and coffee over and placed them on the coffee table. Huamin didn't want to be polite, so he picked it up and slowly ate. He didn't know if it was because he was hungry or something else, but the taste was amazing. The toast was smeared with butter and honey, and it was incredibly sweet. Huamin just happened to be a person who liked sweets. Qin Chu's gaze instantly softened as he watched Huamin quietly eat the food he made. Just then, Qin Chu's phone rang. He put down the coffee cup in his hand and slowly picked up his phone. "Hello? Son, why are you moving out all of a sudden?" Lady Qin seemed to mind a lot. "I've been busy with work lately, and I've been working overtime a lot. It's inconvenient to drive back and forth. But you don't have to move out. Where's the new house? Are there maids, drivers, and cleaners?" "Mom, I can take care of that myself." "Son, if you're not used to living here, remember to move back. I'm worried about you." "Mom, I'm an adult." "I know, but you'll always be a child in my eyes." "Chu, what do you think of the 2 girls I brought over tonight?" Lady Qin finally got to the point. "They're not good. Are you not satisfied with her appearance or her height? If you have any requirements, you can tell me. I will help you keep an eye out." Lady Qin persuaded her son earnestly. As Qin Chu answered the phone, he glanced at Huamin, who was drinking coffee with his head lowered. Then, he said word by word, "Mom, the standard of a girl I like is 24 years old, 165 meters tall, 50 kilograms in weight, long black hair, big eyes, bare-faced, white t-shirts and jeans, and 2 dimples when she smiles. When Hwamin heard this, he deliberately lowered his head even more. It wasn't that she liked to think too highly of herself, but why did she feel that the person Chin Chu was talking about was her? Wait a minute. Let me take notes. Son, I will try my best to satisfy your requests. At the other end of the phone, Lady Chin didn't know what was going on and even became serious. Okay, that's all. Rest early. After saying that, Chin Chu hung up the phone without waiting for the other side to reply. After eating in silence, Hwamin got up and carried the plates into the kitchen. When she suddenly turned around, she was caught off guard and bumped into Chin Chu. She didn't know what this man was doing in the kitchen at this time. In an instant, the two of them were so close together that Hwamin became nervous again. Chin Chu supported himself against the wall with both hands and wrapped Hwamin in his arms. He lowered his head and looked at the person in his arms, his eyes filled with warmth. And Hwamin was suddenly pressed against the wall without any warning. Move aside. I'll bring the rest of the utensils in to wash, Hwamin said, pretending to be calm. Chin Chu stared at her face for a full 3 seconds. You don't have to do these things. After speaking, Chin Chu moved aside and made way for Hwamin. Then, he walked over to the sink and picked up the utensils to wash. Hwamin didn't know what to do. When Chin Chu finished washing the utensils and came out, Hwamin was still sitting on the sofa. It was already 10:00 at night. It's late. We should sleep. Chin Chu leaned against the kitchen door with both hands in his pockets and looked at Hwamin. I'm not sleepy yet. You sleep first, Hwamin replied awkwardly. You seem to be afraid of sleeping with me. Chin Chu's lips curled up slightly with a mischievous smile. Chapter 69. Hwamin didn't expect Chin Chu to be so direct, so she was slightly surprised at first. Then, she blushed and replied, No. If you're not afraid, then what are you waiting for? Go to bed. After speaking, Chin Chu turned around and walked upstairs to the bedroom. When Chin Chu wasn't home that night, Hwamin already had a general understanding of the structure of the house. It was a 200-square-meter duplex. Downstairs was a spacious living room, dining room, bathroom, kitchen, and a study. There seemed to be 3 bedrooms and a bathroom upstairs. With a layout like this, there was enough space for the two of them to live in, even if they had 2 more children. Seeing Chin Chu go upstairs first, Hwamin really regretted her stupid mouth. Why did she answer so carelessly? Great, if she didn't go with him, it would seem like she was going back on her word. However, she really wasn't prepared to go with him. 7 years ago, she loved Chin Chu deeply, but it didn't mean that she still loved him. To be honest, she didn't even know how she felt about Chin Chu. She only married him for Jishin's safety. Of course, there was also a little bit of personal feelings mixed in. Chin Chu walked into the first bedroom on the 2nd floor, and Hwamin slowly followed behind. The room was very spacious, and the black and white decor suited Chin Chu's simple style. Why are you following me? Do you want to sleep with me that much? Chin Chu half-jokingly looked at Hwamin. Hwamin was a little confused, and she didn't know how to respond. Your bedroom is next door, good night. After speaking, Chin Chu slammed the door shut. He shut the innocent-looking Hwamin outside the door. Hwamin didn't even have time to react. Chin Chu almost couldn't help but fiercely kiss her. After Chin Chu closed the door, he slowly leaned against it. Although he really wanted to hug her to sleep, he knew that she wasn't ready yet. He didn't want to force her. He wanted to give her time. Slowly, He found all the feelings he had 7 years ago. She was already his legal wife, wasn't she? At this thought, Chin Chu's lips curled up into a satisfied smile. Only then did Huamin realize what Chin Chu had just said. He walked to the second bedroom and opened the door. The interior was beige with purple decorations. It was her favorite color. So he remembered everything, and he had prepared everything. She thought he would force her, but he didn't. Chin Chu, how do you want me to treat you? Huamin touched the white vanity with a melancholic expression. She admitted that she didn't have that much hatred anymore. Every time she needed help, this man stood up for her. But since you love me so much, why did you disappear for 7 years? We've already wasted 7 whole years. Huamin was melancholy for a long time. In the end, she took a hot bath in the bathroom before tiredly lying down on the bed. She had always been picky about her bed. In the past, when she went out to play and stayed in a hotel, she would lose sleep. She thought it would be the same tonight, but to her surprise, she slept well. The room was filled with the faint scent of lavender, and the colorful lights were dreamy. Every design was carefully designed. Huamin was a little suspicious. Did Chin Chu really buy this house at the last minute? Why was it so satisfying? Late at night. The moonlight shone through the window and cast a faint halo. Chin Chu gently pushed open the door, walked in, and leaned against the window. His eyes were filled with love as he looked at the person sleeping on the bed. No one knew how long he had waited for this day. No one knew how much he loved this woman named Huamin in this world. The next morning, when Huamin got up, it was only 7 o'clock, but Chin Chu was already gone. There were sandwiches and a glass of milk on the table. Huamin had to admit that she was touched. Before, when she lived under the same roof as Ning Ziyuan, she was the one who cooked. After a long time, she got used to it. Now that someone was making breakfast for her, the feeling was indescribably sweet. GK headquarters. When Assistant Yang walked in, he heard music playing on the president's computer. After hearing the song, Assistant Yang almost spat out his food. President. President Qin, Assistant Yang stuttered. Chapter 70. Chin Chu raised his head from a pile of documents. He didn't say anything, but his eyes were clear, telling him to get straight to the point. President Qin, the car is ready. The 4S store just brought it back. It's in the company's garage. You can use it anytime. Got it. Chin Chu replied with 3 words and continued to work. And the song continued to be sung over and over again. I really want a companion when I'm lonely. Even when I'm busy, I want someone to eat breakfast with. Even though this idea is too simple. I just want someone to be with me, no matter where tomorrow is. Love doesn't allow people to be half-hearted. It's a pity to make too many mistakes. If I really decide to give my heart, can someone tell her not to make me sad? Every time love comes near, I feel that she's holding you tightly. She moves your heart, covers your eyes, and doesn't let you know where she's going. Every time love approaches, she seems to be waiting for your response. The world is quiet, the only thing that's uneasy is your decision. Young thought it was weird because the music that came out of the president's office was often Chopin, Mozart, Richard Clayderman, and Franz Liszt. He didn't have any musical talent, so he couldn't even appreciate Beethoven's Moonlight Symphony. But the president was different. He was a genius and studied abroad for 7 years. Naturally, his taste was different. Now, he suddenly changed from these piano masters to milk tea Lu Royings, when love approaches. The difference was like heaven and earth. Most importantly, when did his president take such a new path? President Qin. Is there anything else? Chin Chu raised his head and looked at the hesitant Yang. I like this song too. My wife and I are both fans of milk tea. Yang touched his head and smiled embarrassedly. Who's milk tea? Chin Chu's words almost made Yang faint. What was wrong with his president? He didn't know who milk tea was, but he still listened to her song over and over again. How could he be such a fan? Milk tea. She's the singer of this song. Oh. Chin Chu suddenly realized. The USB drive that he plugged into his computer today was not the one that he usually listened to. Yesterday, when the movers were helping Huamin check out, they tidied it up. It was said that they found it at Huamin's bedside. Chin Chu felt that these might be Huamin's favorite songs, so he listened to them all morning. No wonder Yang thought it was weird. After Huamin finished his breakfast, he went to work. In the VIP room, Jing Jixin had already woken up. Although his mental state was still very weak, the doctor said that all his indicators were in good condition. He just needed to rest. Huamin stayed with Jing Jixin for a while. When her brother finally fell asleep, she slowly walked out of the room. The moment she stepped out of the ward, her phone rang urgently. Huamin glanced at it. It was an unknown number. Hello. Miss Huamin, I'm Lawyer Luo. What do you want? After hearing the other party's identity, Huamin's reaction became noticeably colder. I want to remind Miss Hua to think about our proposal carefully. I've made myself very clear. I don't want to repeat myself. If Miss Hua is so unreasonable, then we can't guarantee your safety and that of your family. Are you threatening me? Miss Hua, you're a smart person. I don't need to say more. Do you believe that my phone has a recording device? I'll hand it over to the court. It'll be evidence against you. Huamin was extremely angry. Do you think I'm scared? Miss Hua, you should be careful. I told you that my client's family is very powerful. An ordinary person like you can't control them. Just because I'm ordinary, I should be bullied. What a joke. Go to hell. After speaking, Huamin mercilessly hung up the phone. Senior Sister Hua, someone's looking for you. Okay, coming. When she heard someone calling for her, Huamin immediately walked towards the OB/GYN department. At the door of the OB/GYN department, when Huamin saw who it was, she was clearly unhappy. It's you. Chapter 71. Hi, little sister Mian, I haven't seen you in a few days and you've gotten prettier. Hua Xiqian was wearing a dark purple suit and black trousers. He was dressed in luxurious designer clothes. Unlike Chin Chu, he was more flamboyant when it came to dressing up. He liked bright colors, such as red and deep purple. Hua Xiqian was 29 years old this year. He was good-looking and looked like a gentleman. Plus, he was the vice president of the Hua Corporation, which made him very popular in the upper-class circle. It was said that he was also a master at picking up girls. His female companions ranged from celebrities in the entertainment circle to international young models to young ladies from prestigious families. He could not be counted with two hands. He was often seen in entertainment magazines, but the society had a very high opinion of him. He was said to be the future head of the Hua Corporation. This adopted son status was obviously higher than the siblings from Hua Xiqian's second family. Hua Xiqian had a pair of peach blossom eyes and a fox-like smile wherever he went, so he was very popular with girls. A few nurses in the OB/GYN department were fascinated by him and secretly glanced at him. How many times do I have to tell you not to call me that? I'm not your sister. Huamin was unusually cold. Okay, Huamin, I have a favor to ask of you today. One of my female companions wants to do a gynecological examination, but it's too difficult to get an appointment with a specialist in your hospital. I remembered that you work in the OB/GYN department, so can you help us out and make an appointment with a specialist? No way, I'm just an intern nurse. I don't have that much power. Young Master Hua, you're so powerful. Why don't you just ask the director? After speaking, Hua Min turned around and walked into the OB/GYN department, ignoring him. However, Hua Xiqian didn't seem angry. He only smiled. As the vice president of the Hua Corporation, he purposely went through the green channel when he came to the hospital. Why would he need to look for a nobody like Hua Min? However, he especially liked interacting with Hua Min. Seeing her made him feel inexplicably better, just like when he was young. At this moment, an exquisite-looking woman walked out of the gynecology and obstetrics professor's clinic and intimately held Hua Xiqian's arm. Xiqian, the professor said that I've caught a cold recently and doesn't want me to eat seafood anymore. It seems like we'll have to go to the beach less in the future. It's okay, I'll warm you up when we get back. You're so annoying. Ha, you're always teasing me, the woman said coquettishly. Then, the two of them turned around and left. Senior Sister Hua, who was that person just now? He looks good, and he's wearing big brands. I can tell at a glance that he's from a rich family. The young nurse, Huang Yu, asked with interest. A friend of a friend of a friend. I'm not familiar with them. Hua Min had never been willing to talk too much about the Hua family. Huang Yu, are you stupid? Don't you read the newspapers? Wasn't that young Master Hua? No wonder he's one of the 4 princes of Sea City. He's really good-looking and rich. He looks much better in real life than in the photos. It's just that he's a bit of a playboy, another nurse said. 4th young master. We've never heard of them. Huang Yu looked confused. That's why I said you're from the countryside. The 4 princes are all eligible bachelors of the upper class. I heard that they're all unmarried. Hua Xiqian is ranked 2nd. I heard that the 3rd is the 2nd son of the Wei family in Nanqing, Wei Liao. The 4th is Shen Mingxi, the son of the CEO of Beiyang Automobile Company. Who's the 1st? Huang Yu was even more curious. The 1st. He's amazing. He's also the man of my dreams. He's the most handsome and rich in the city. I heard that he's the super rich young master Su Yu who spends money like water. Su Yu. I think I've heard of him before. Isn't his father the top 5 on the Forbes list? I heard that his family's banks are all over the country. Huang Yu said with great interest. Yes, but young Master Su is now in charge of his own film company. He specializes in creating stars. 2 of the 4 most popular actresses in the entertainment industry were made famous by young Master Su. Hua Min listened quietly and didn't interrupt because she wasn't interested in these things at all. Just then, an older nurse came in and looked at them with disdain. What 4th young master? They're all behind the times. The most popular upstart right now is GK's young master. I heard that he's been back for almost a month and has secretly inherited the throne. However, he's been very low-key and doesn't accept any media interviews. I heard that he's super handsome. I really want to meet him. Really? GK's young master. How come I've never heard of him? Another young nurse asked with a pout. Huang Yu, on the other hand, interrupted excitedly. I know that GK's young master went to 2nd high school. My sister is studying there, right after him. I also know that his name is Qin Chu. But I heard that he went abroad for many years. Is he back? How come I haven't heard anything about him? Then, Huang Yu tugged at Hua Min and asked, Senior Sister Hua, aren't you also from 2nd high? You should know more about him, right? Hurry up and tell us about GK's young master. I'm really interested. My sister once said that Qin Chu is super handsome. Chapter 72. Huamin didn't know how to answer the question. I don't know him that well. He didn't want to be too high profile, so he gave a vague answer. Upon hearing Huamin's words, the other three nurses looked slightly disappointed. Since the OB/GYN department wasn't busy, Huamin got up and went to visit his brother in the VIP room. However, he ran into the family of the patient from the other day at the door. It was the mother of the boy from the car accident. She was a plump middle-aged woman, and her red dress was particularly eye-catching. "Hey, wait a second. What's up?" Huamin turned his head. "I heard that you didn't want to settle it in private, right?" "Yes." "Is it because they didn't give you enough? How much did they give you?" The middle-aged woman's eyes lit up, as if she wanted to get some information from Huamin. However, Huamin wasn't an idiot. "No, I didn't ask for compensation." "You didn't ask for compensation? Why not? You didn't come to an agreement, right?" "I'm telling you, take the opportunity to ask for more. I heard that your brother hurt his head. You can exaggerate and say that there will be sequelae, that he will become stupid, and that he won't be able to take care of himself. That way, they will give you more." Then, the middle-aged woman deliberately lowered her voice and said, "Did you know? I heard that the kids' parents are from the finance department. Not only are they rich, but they also have power. I'll go through the normal legal process and sue them. I don't want any compensation, I'll make the perpetrator take responsibility." Huamian didn't want to say anything else and turned to walk back into the hospital room. The middle-aged woman was stunned at first, then she rolled her eyes and cursed, "Is this girl's brain rusty?" Inside the room after Jing Jixin woke up, other than his complexion being a bit pale, everything else was fine. Huamin found a caregiver to take turns with his mother. He would also come over often. "You look better today than yesterday." Huamin walked in with a smile. "Sis." Jing Jixin smiled warmly when he saw Huamin. "Aren't you on duty? What are you doing here?" His mother was still as cold as ever. "The obstetrics and gynecology department isn't very busy today, so I took the opportunity to take a look." "Jixin, are you feeling unwell today?" Huamin reached out and touched his brother's forehead. Jing Jixin shook his head. "No, I'm fine." "Don't worry, sis. What about the compensation? I heard that those people contacted you." Yang Meirong asked as she knitted. Huamin paused for a moment before slowly replying, "Mom, I'm giving up on the compensation. We have enough money for the surgery, and Jixin's surgery was a success, so I'm not asking for compensation. I want to go through the legal process and sue the perpetrator so that he can get away with it. Otherwise, he'll think that he took the money and got away with it, and my brother almost lost his life. I don't feel good thinking about that." She thought that her mother would scold her to death. After all, it was a large sum of compensation. But surprisingly, she didn't. Her mother just looked at her faintly and asked, "Didn't you say that the other party has a strong background? If we lose the lawsuit, then wouldn't we lose more than we gain?" "No, we won't lose. The other party was speeding on campus and was driving under the influence, causing such a serious accident. It's a big mistake in itself. If we lose, unless the judge is blind, then even if their family has power and wants to suppress this, I can still find the media, post on Weibo, or post on forums. Either way, once this incident gets noticed, they won't just sit back and watch. I believe that no matter how powerful the other party is, they won't be able to hide the truth from everyone." After Huamin finished speaking, Jing Jixin smiled cutely, showing his cute canine teeth. "Sis, you're so smart, you even thought of this." Yang Meirong, on the other hand, rolled her eyes at Huamin and said, "Since you've decided to do this, then do it properly." "But, how are you going to pay back the money you borrowed? If you don't compensate us, then wouldn't it be a loss for us? With your lousy salary, how long will it take for you to pay back the money? You really know how to mess things up. Let me tell you, I won't help you pay back a single cent. You know our family situation. We're very poor. Unless you borrow from your dead father, but that's impossible. You should know how much he dislikes you. Chapter 73. Mom, you might not know about the law, but if we go through the normal procedure, they will still have to compensate us if they lose the case. It's just that they won't give us as much as they would if we settled the case privately. Normally, they will still have to pay for Jixin's medical bills. We just don't want to pay for the so-called nutrition and psychological damages. We won't ask for too much money. I don't want to make a fortune with my brother's health. If we win the case, they will still give us the most basic things, so we don't have to worry about the money. Sis, you're making it sound so complicated. How can Mom understand? Why don't you just say that if we settle the case privately, they might pay 1,000,000 yuan or so. However, if we go through the normal procedure, after the court sanctions them, they will only pay 300,000 yuan for Jixin's medical bills. There's a big difference in the middle, right? Jing Jixin said. Huamin nodded. Yang Meirong didn't say anything. She only lowered her head and said in a low voice, I hope everything goes well. Huamin could tell that although his mother didn't look happy, she agreed with him. Just then, there was a knock on the door. Huamin was extremely nervous. He was really afraid that Qin Chu would suddenly come to the hospital. If his mother saw Qin Chu, the atmosphere would be very tense. Huamian let out a sigh of relief when she saw the person walking in. It was Ning Ziyuan, Jing Jixin said slightly. Ning Ziyuan was wearing a white lab coat. He probably came from the on-call room as well. He held a fruit basket in his hand. He first looked at Huamin with a complicated expression. Then, he greeted Huamin's mother, Auntie. What are you doing here? Didn't you guys break up? Yang Meirong said with a straight face. I'm here to see Jixin. He's recovering well, get well soon, Ning Ziyuan said to Jing Jixin as he put down the fruit basket. Thank you, Ziyuan. Jing Jixin smiled. Mian. He looked at Huamin and opened his mouth slightly, as if he wanted to say something but stopped. Emichim, can you come out for a second? I have something to tell you. If you have anything to say it here. My mother and brother are not outsiders. Ever since the day Huamin went to Ning Ziyuan's new house and saw him in bed with another woman, and then righteously refused to lend him money, his good impression of him had completely disappeared. In the past, she would even be grateful to him for pursuing her for a few years, only now did she realize that a man could be so heartless when he turned hostile. If Ning Ziyuan had been willing to help her, she wouldn't have needed to beg Qin Chu. In the end, she still had to get married to Qin Chu. At the end of the day, Ning Ziyuan had become an important catalyst for this incident to develop to such an extent. At this point, Huamin felt that there was nothing more to say between the two of them. Upon hearing Huamin's words, Ning Ziyuan felt a little awkward. Then, he coughed lightly and said, Mian, I didn't expect this to happen so suddenly. At the time, I was blinded by jealousy. We've been together for more than 3 years, you should know how I feel about you. It's not that I don't want to help you, but I heard that you borrowed money for Jixin's surgery. I'm willing to help you pay it back. I can sell my house and car. Your family is my family, and Jixin is my brother. Can the two of us go back to? Before Ning Ziyuan could finish, Huamin decisively interrupted him. No. Mian, are you really not going to give me a chance? Ning Ziyuan begged. Huamian raised her head and looked into Ning Ziyuan's eyes as she asked, enunciating each word clearly, "All I know is that when I was at my wit's end and had to beg you for help, when my brother was lying on the hospital bed and needed money to save his life, you were having an affair with another woman in the house that we shared the down payment for. Ning Ziyuan, I'm not a bun, and you're not a dog. Stop bothering me about what happened between you and me. I don't blame you for not helping me, but I really think it's a bit ridiculous that you're doing this with hindsight." Ning Ziyuan was so embarrassed by Huamian's words that he wanted to crawl into a hole and hide. At the same time, he was shocked. In his eyes, Huamian was always a gentle girl. How come she was so sharp-tongued now? Every word she said was like a knife, leaving him speechless. "Mian, you seem to have changed," Ning Ziyuan hesitated for a long time before saying. Huamian smiled faintly upon hearing this. Chapter 74. You're wrong, it's not that I've changed, I've always been like this. That's why, you don't understand me at all these years. You only love the person you think I am, not the real me. The truth was, Huamian had wanted to say this for a long time. When she met Ning Ziyuan, she had already pretended to be an ordinary woman. After experiencing her unforgettable love with Qin Chu, her heart was as calm as the ocean. Therefore, the gentle, sensible, obedient, considerate, and even a little cowardly woman Ning Ziyuan saw wasn't the real Huamian at all. Humans were the smartest animals in the world. Sometimes, what you see is only what they want you to see. It's not who they really are. Only Qin Chu knew Huamian's true nature. She was witty, smart, sharp-tongued, and looked down on everything. Just like how Zhu Lingling described her, she was arrogant. That was the real her. Unfortunately, Ning Ziyuan hadn't seen her in the past few years. Now that they had broken up, he finally had the chance to see her. It was ironic, Mian. Ning Ziyuan seemed like he wanted to say something else. Enough, don't say any more, I got the gist of it. When my daughter begged you, you were fooling around with another woman in the house, weren't you? Now that you heard that my Jixin is fine and that the surgery fees were paid, you came back to repent. You really are not a man. Before, I thought that you weren't that capable, but at least you were honest. Now, it seems like that's not the case at all. Not only are you dishonest, but you also like to give advice after the fact. Stop nagging, I'm annoyed by it. Get out, since we broke up, I'm no longer your aunt, and Jixin is no longer your brother. Auntie, get out, take your insincere fruit basket with you. After speaking, young Mayorong got up, picked up the fruit basket, and pushed Ning Ziyuan and the basket out. Mom, well done. You really helped sis vent her anger. Jing Jixin gave her a thumbs up. Young Mayorong glanced coldly at Huamian. Next time you're looking for a man, you better open your eyes. What kind of trash is this? Got it, Mom. Then I'll go back to the OB/GYN department first. Don't be too tired. When the nurse comes to work, you should go home and rest. When Huamian walked out of the room, he felt a little uneasy. Although her mother didn't treat her well, her attitude towards Ning Ziyuan just now was obviously to protect her. However, if her mother knew that she was not only dating Qin Chu in private, but also married to him, she would be devastated. She would definitely want to skin her alive if she did that. Although Uncle Jing's death wasn't directly related to Qin Chu, it was still the Qin family's doing. At the thought of this, Huamian felt her chest tighten. She really didn't know how to get along with Qin Chu in the future. Because of Uncle Jing's death, she carried the guilt for 7 years. She gave up on the universities abroad and the top medical school in Jing City. She stayed in the city and became the most ordinary person. However, she still couldn't make up for the guilt in her heart. The worst thing was, she realized that she didn't hate Chin Chu as much as she did. She knew that what she did was wrong to Uncle Jing. 9 p.m. Huamin was on shift for her colleague. After tiredly changing into her clothes, she walked out of the hospital. She lowered her head and took out her phone. Her phone ran out of battery in the afternoon and automatically shut down. Then, she charged it. As soon as she turned it on, she saw that there were a lot of missed calls. There was also a text message. "What time do you get off work? I thought you weren't on shift today. Why aren't you back yet?" It was from Chin Chu. Huamin yawned and was about to reply to the message. Just as she was about to reply, she heard the screeching sound of tires coming her way. She looked up, but her eyes were blinded by the light. All she knew was that a huge car was coming towards her at an alarming speed. Huamin. In the midst of the chaos, someone shouted her name. Chapter 75. Huamin didn't have time to react, so she just stood there motionless. She covered her eyes with both hands to protect herself from the glare. However, she neglected the fact that she was standing in the most dangerous position. If the car came over, wouldn't it crush her? After hearing someone call her name, Huamin didn't have time to respond before she felt her body being hit by something. Her ribs were in pain. When she opened her eyes again, she found herself lying in a soft embrace. "Chin Chu, why are you here?" Huamin was still in shock and was a little dumbfounded. Why was he here at a time like this? Chin Chu was hugging Huamin tightly. The two of them were lying next to a telephone pole on the side of the road. Their posture was extremely intimate. "Are you okay?" Chin Chu's voice was a little hoarse. God knew that at that moment, his heart was about to jump out of his chest. I'm fine," Huamin stuttered. Then, she slowly got up and checked her wound. She found that other than her ribs being hit by an unknown object like Chin Chu, there was no other problem. When she turned around to look at Chin Chu, she was a little shocked. "Your hand is injured." "It's okay, it's just a scratch." "No, I have to bandage it for you. Otherwise, it will get infected." With that, Huamin pulled Chin Chu to the hospital. "There's a first aid kit at home. You can bandage it for me." With that, before Huamin could say anything, Chin Chu held her hand tightly and said, "It's late. Let's go home." Then, he held Huamin's hand and walked to the front of the low-key white Volkswagen CC. The two of them got in the car. In the front passenger seat, Huamin hesitated for a long time before she asked, "Just now? Why were you there?" "I thought you were going to ask why the car suddenly sped up in front of the hospital," Chin Chu replied with a question. "Answer me first. I couldn't get through to you on the phone, and you didn't reply to my messages. I came to the hospital to wait for you after work. What time did you come?" Huamin looked at Chin Chu in surprise. 6:00. So you waited from 6:00 until 9:00. Huamin couldn't believe it. "That's right. You're just going to wait in the car?" "Yes." "Are you really?" Huamin didn't know what to say. Obviously, Chin Chu wasn't an idiot. "Fortunately, I came. Otherwise, you would have been hit just now." Huamin finally understood. Chin Chu had been in the car the whole time when he picked her up from work. When he saw her walking out of the hospital, he got out of the car to call her. However, at that moment, a huge truck that came out of nowhere suddenly rushed out. At that critical moment, Chin Chu rushed over and hugged Huamin. They dodged the truck and both fell to the side of the road. Thinking back to that moment, it really was a matter of life and death. "Do you know that you almost died?" Huamin stared at Chin Chu and asked. I only know that if I didn't do what I did, you would have died, Chin Chu responded faintly. Was it worth it? Hua Min's eyes began to sting. When he asked this question, he purposely turned his head and looked out the window. It was very worth it. You're such an idiot. You're the heir of GK, and you're worth over 10 billion yuan. How could you save an intern nurse? Hua Min mocked himself. Chin Chu turned his head and stared at Hua Min's face. He said word for word, in that moment, it was just a husband saving his wife. Don't overthink it. Chin Chu, yeah. Don't you think that us being together was a mistake from the beginning? Hua Min said softly. Upon hearing this, Chin Chu's hands on the steering wheel froze slightly. Chapter 76. After a while, Chin Chu slowly replied, all I know is that being apart from you for 7 years was the biggest mistake of my life. Hearing this, Hua Mian's heart skipped a beat, as if something had shattered in her heart. He wondered if that was her last line of defense against the outside world. Then, the two of them didn't speak for the rest of the journey. When they arrived at Imperial Park, it was only 9:20 p.m. Hua Min followed Chin Chu's instructions and found the first aid kit in the living room cabinet. Then, the two of them sat on the sofa, and Hua Min carefully treated Chin Chu's wounds. Not only did Chin Chu's palms get scratched, but his knees were also scraped. Blood seeped out, staining his expensive casual pants. Wrap it up, don't let it get wet for a few days. Be careful when you shower, Hua Min reminded him. Okay. Also, take off your pants, I'll wash them for you. It's okay, I'll just take these to the dry cleaners. Okay, then you should rest early. I'm a bit tired, I'm going to rest now. After speaking, Hua Min was about to head upstairs. Mian, I'm a bit hungry. Chin Chu's words made Hua Min stop in her tracks. What do you want to eat? Anything is fine. Chin Chu looked into her eyes. Hua Min didn't want to look into Chin Chu's eyes, so she turned around and walked towards the fridge. She opened the fridge and saw that it was filled with vegetables and fruits. It seemed like he prepared everything beforehand. Hua Min took out egg noodles and a bunch of vegetables, then walked towards the kitchen. 20 minutes later, a bowl of piping hot egg noodles with vegetables was placed on the coffee table. Eat it while it's hot. You're not eating. I already ate when I was on duty, I'm not hungry. Then, Hua Min turned around and went upstairs. Chin Chu sat on the sofa, picked up the chopsticks, and ate the noodles in small bites. An image seemed to appear in his mind. Chin Chu, the noodles in this restaurant are not delicious. How dare they sell such disgusting noodles for 15 renminbi a bowl? They are crazy. I will cook for you personally in the future. My noodles are very delicious. Really? If we lose our jobs in the future, you can support me by opening a noodle shop. Do you think I would want a man who lives off a woman as my husband? As long as I'm your husband, I don't mind living off you. 7 years ago, there were many beautiful memories. The street behind the school was filled with snacks. Chin Chu loved to eat noodles, so Hua Min often went there with him. They went to many places, but there wasn't anything delicious. Thus, the conversation above occurred. At that time, Chin Chu thought that since he was with Hua Min every day, he would have many opportunities to eat her noodles. But he never thought that he would wait for this opportunity for 7 years. Time was really a ruthless thing. Many beautiful things could only be supported by memories in the end. Although he risked his life to save her tonight, she was still a little distant from him. He knew what she was thinking. He saw the conflict, anxiety, guilt, and fear in her heart. But as long as he could be with her, he didn't care about anything else. As long as she was with him, his wish was that simple. With that thought, Chin Chu began to eat the noodles in big mouthfuls. In the end, he drank all the soup. He didn't remember the taste of the noodles, but he knew that it was the best noodles in the world. All because it was cooked by Huamin, in the upstairs bedroom. Huamin lay on the bed, exhausted. It wasn't that she didn't know that Chin Chu got hurt because of her. She wasn't heartless, but whenever she thought of her mother's words, she would feel extremely conflicted. Ring. She received a WeChat message. Huamin slowly picked up her phone. As expected, it was Zhu Lingling calling. Recently, she had been flying to the East Coast and hadn't returned to Sea City. Without her harassment on WeChat, Huamin really wasn't used to it. Mian, I'm back. Come out and have a drink. I've been dog-tired these past few days. Huamin smiled slightly and replied, who said so? Dogs aren't as tired as you are. Zhu Lingling was speechless. Then, Huamin sent Zhu Lingling a WeChat message. There were only 6 words on it. Lingling, I'm married. After seeing these 6 words, Zhu Lingling jumped out of bed in shock. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.